What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with a post-season live stream for you guys. Spurs are staying in the Premier League and everyone can just breathe a little. Breathe easy tonight. Breathe easy last night because we only gone and done it. We only gone and done it. Look, there's a lot to be said about what happened yesterday, what's happened all season, what's going to happen this summer, and we're going to get into it all in this live stream for you guys. This is the definition of an action-packed live stream. We've got all the usual match day stuff. We're going to get through that bloody Charrington statement as well, and we've got a hefty Tottenham update, a lot of transfers to talk about as well.
It's going to be a busy summer, I think.
Absolutely.
Judging by what Deserby say.
It has to be a busy summer. Has to be a busy summer. Nothing else is acceptable, to be honest, but we'll get into all of that. Let's start off talking about yesterday. Spurs 1, Everton 0. Spurs have confirmed their Premier League status for next season. And like I said before, we can just breathe a little bit now. We can just breathe, you know.
Made us sweat a bit.
A bit. They made us sweat a bit, some more than others.
Maybe not just because of the heat.
Yeah.
But
I was definitely sweating yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the game, we played well. We actually turned up. We on the front foot pretty much from the first minute. And I think it was actually a fairly comfortable game in terms of actually, if you just take everything surrounding the situation and everything, in terms of it was a pretty comfortable 1-0 win, by all things considered. But I don't know how it felt in the ground, but definitely when West Ham were hearing news that they took the lead and they know we're only 1-0 up and we're maybe a couple of stupid moments from, disaster, it did start to get a bit tetchy. And I did think that the team started to get a bit tetchy. But in terms of just quickly on the lineup, we got it spot on. We said Jed Spence, right wing. He did do that. Thought he did all right.
Apparently it was because Jed Spence went into his office and said, I want to play.
That's what he said.
And he put his hat into the ring. And
I think he saw more and he's like, please, I need to play. I need to play. Gaffer, it's the right thing to do. I care about this club. I really want to play. I'm here available if you need me. So I think that was look, it was the right decision to put Jed in. And I think, obviously we'll get into like individuals a little bit later on, but I thought he did his job. I thought from the early on, we really went at Everton. We were creating loads of chances. Again, mostly from corners, you would say. That was when most of our good joy was coming. But we were on top of them. Everton were having very, very little in our half. Again, probably similar in this game to other games. The final third actions were letting us down yet again. But just the sheer number of them. I think in the first half we had like 14 shots or something. We were really just, not stopping until we got that goal. But as half-time was approaching, there was a little bit of me like, we're playing well, but we just haven't scored. And, could this game turn at any moment? That was the worry.
Yeah, I felt like we were heavily dominant for like the first 20, 25 minutes. And then there was that kind of like lull period in the game. And I was saying to Danny, who was sitting next to me, like in those first 20 minutes, like, we got to score in this period because, we saw it against Leeds. We didn't score in that period where we were on top in the first half. And obviously what happened. We didn't win the game. So I was feeling like maybe something similar could happen. Everton was starting to creep back into the game a little bit. But then we got the goal. We got the goal kind of after that initial kind of lull period, and we ended the half really strongly.
Yeah, and we did have numerous chances, didn't we? Danso had a good chance. He should have done better. Palhinha had one at the back post. Gallagher had a shot into the side netting, which was a presentable opportunity. So I thought Tell was also giving O'Brien the runaround in the opening exchanges.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments. I mean, I thought it was
booked and he was lucky. He could have been sent off.
Could have been sent off. I thought, there were a couple of nice moments from Tell, but I still want to see more from him, to be honest.
I understand that, but you got to credit him. I thought he was putting O'Brien under real pressure. Turned him a couple of times. He did that Sonny move where he let the ball roll across his body and then go down the line, and he burnt him a couple of times.
It's the same though, like as every week. Like it looks like in the forward line, if anything's going to happen, it's probably going to come through Tell. But still, nothing is kind of happening.
Yeah, look, he needs to work on a lot of things, but I thought he did all right in that first. I thought he was one of our better players. I thought Rishi was holding the ball up a lot better than he usually does as well. Obviously, he was running himself into the ground. He went off after 60 minutes, I think, wasn't it, or 65. I thought the key thing was in the middle, though, we were just so dominant. Bentancur, Palhinha, Gallagher were just snuffing out anything Everton had. I thought they had Irigbunam, Garner, and Dewsbury Hall, and they were really struggling to impact the game. I thought our midfield three were just on them like a rash every single time.
Palhinha, man.
Yeah, Palhinha.
Palhinha was a big difference in the game yesterday. I thought he was my man of the match yesterday, João Palhinha, not just for the goal, but just for the way that he played, so aggressive, not too bad on the ball as well. I thought Palhinha had a fantastic game yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't give a second to any of those Everton players to breathe. And I credit him so much. And, you know, this guy, João Palhinha, he's scored 2 of our most important goals this season, the goal against Wolves, the goal against Everton. You know, we might not stay up if we don't score those goals. So this guy has had a direct impact to us staying up. He has been fantastic. And for me, after it's all said and done, he's probably been our player of the season. He's provided the 2 both pivotal moments in our season. And on top of that, he's also scored other important goals to go with it as well. So I can't credit João Palhinha enough. And yeah, look, there's always going to be the flaws in his game that everyone talks about, but I think he offers us, like I've said so many times, he offers us something that no other player offers us. You know, he's just a sheer workhorse. He's got a great mentality about him. He pops up with important goals. We got to sign this guy up. I'm telling you, we got to sign him up.
Well, De Zerbi loves him. Look, for me, I'm still conflicted on whether we should sign him up, but De Zerbi seems to want him. He seems to want him around the dressing room. So if that's the case, I'm happy for it. I think the flaws in his game are stark, and for me,
the strengths of his game are as well.
The strengths of his game are some of the, you know, he's one of the best tacklers in the league. That's the truth. And in terms of that side of the game, he is fantastic. So it's all about whether you can cover his flaws or not. I think this season we just haven't been able to do that on enough occasions. But De Zerbi's a very smart guy, and he's a very smart manager. If he can set the team up, that means that we don't need Palhinha as much on the ball as maybe we've been using him throughout the season, then he's worth having around. Whether I want him as our starting 6, I just don't know. I'm very conflicted on that, because I feel like sometimes there is too much of a cost in terms of, you know, if he has the ball too much and he can't progress the ball enough, and when players are pressing him, he can struggle. But then he did come up with 2 massive moments. I think he's definitely a positive influence in the dressing room. He's an absolute machine when it comes to how that aggression he comes up with, and his mentality on a pitch. I think all those are great things. So,
but I think we need to forget about this, starting that. Like, to be part of the squad, he's a major asset to have, in my opinion. And there'll be games where you probably don't want him starting. There'll be games where you want him starting. We need players like that in the team, where they could just be such an asset to the squad as a whole. Like, I really don't think we should look at it and be like, do we want him as our starting 6? Do we want him part of the squad is the way you want to look at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we have, as we've said, look, we'll get into the squad later, but there are some tough decisions to make. He also said he wants to keep Bentancur and Gallagher around, so they're not going anywhere. So that leaves some tough decisions, which we'll get into. But his goal wasn't the prettiest goal, was it? But they all count, don't they? Just about over the line.
I would have taken it off bloody Pickford's backside for all I care. You know what I mean? Like, we just needed a goal desperately at that moment in time, and he's delivered once again.
And you saw how much it meant to the players. You know, they celebrated like it was a, you know, title-winning goal or something. You know, they celebrated massively on the sidelines. It was a massive outpour of emotion. I think they realised, with how the game was going, how massive that moment was. You know, how much we were keeping Everton at bay, and the likelihood they were going to be able to turn it around was getting smaller and smaller as time went on. So that goal obviously did end up to be the difference, and it was a massive goal. And I also got the feeling once we got that goal, we kind of like, similar in like the Europa League, it was like we got that goal and it's like, okay, we keep this now. We're letting this slip.
Yeah.
We have the lead, and by hook or by crook, we are not conceding in that second half.
Everyone in the second half around me was like, all right, so De Zerbi's Europa Leaguing it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how
That's pretty much what everyone was saying, and I think that's the way it panned out. And then he ended up bringing on Dragoshin, and even before he brought out on Dragoshin, everyone was just behind the ball, defending for their lives. I can't credit the likes of Mickey van der Ven, Kevin Danso, and Pedro Porro enough. I think those 3 players were just fantastic. Pedro Porro has been so important in this run, and so same as Mickey van der Ven. The mentality on these 2 guys, like Pedro Porro, it seems like he's gone to war every single game under De Zerbi. The same with Mickey as well. Like, Mickey has come on. If you compare Mickey now to what he was like under Tudor and maybe the back end of the Thomas Frank days, it's night and day, isn't it? He's a completely refreshed man. He's a different man, and you could see he's playing with a smile on his face, and he's loving life right now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need him to say it, but he did say it after the game. He was in an interview. He said, when De Zerbi came in, everyone could see I wasn't in the best mood. I wasn't in the best way. And obviously we saw that with his performances, but he's really turned him around. He's really gotten the best out of him. He's gotten that belief back in him. And we're seeing the best Mickey van der Ven. Obviously he's made him feel 10 feet tall, hasn't he, with some of the words he's been saying, recently, best left centre-back in the league, all that kind of stuff. And he's playing like it at the moment. When he's in this kind of form, there is very few players, if any, who are better than him as a centre-back when he's playing as well as he is right now. So I definitely credit De Zerbi massively with the turning around of Mickey van der Ven. I think he's been absolutely exceptional. Danso as well has done a brilliant job. Look, the whole back line, I think the way De Zerbi has got us playing, I think it's just given belief back into everyone. And I know we maybe went a bit pragmatic in the second half yesterday, but in general, we've just defended less because we've been better on the ball, and that has just been a lesson for us this season, and on how we can influence defensively, not just by defending. And I think Van der Ven's been a massive beneficiary of that.
I think what it's come down to is the two players that have been the real difference makers for us, Palhinha and Kinski. These two guys, that save from Kinski right at the end, if that goes 1-1, there was still time for Everton to get that winner. So it was an unbelievable save, full body stretched, one-handed. I mean, how many top saves has this guy made? Like, you look at it now with Kinski, you got the save at the end of Wolves. You've got, I think he made a couple of top saves against Leeds, and now this save here against Everton. You can talk about Kinski, and it's harsh to even talk about it, is that goal from Enzo Fernandez against Chelsea. Everything else, he's been faultless. He's been perfect in these last 7 games. So for me, I'll keep him on as number 1 next season. I think this guy has been brilliant. Yesterday earned his money once again. You just don't have that panic when he's on the ball like you have with Vicario. I can't sing his praise high enough, Kinski. He is a massive part of why we're still in this division.
Yeah, and there was also a few corners he had to come for, didn't he? And he had to just get slight touches to avoid Everton, making sure they didn't get anything from it. I thought he had another really strong game. What I would say about the save is it was a good save, don't get me wrong, and it was a massive moment, 98th minute, and he got enough on it to put it over the bar. Having watched it again, I did think it looked a bit weird because I thought the shot was quite central, and he ended up doing a full dive. I was like, why did it end up like that? So I looked back in it, and I actually noticed something about Kinski's positioning in that moment. And what happened was George, he's on the ball, he cuts inside, and Kinski's kind of standing in the right position, a little bit central, but to the right. And then for some reason, when George takes his extra touch to cut inside to line up the shot, Kinski then moves to his right that little bit more, which leaves a lot of space on the far post to score from, which meant I think if Kinski would have kept his original position, actually it would have been a pretty simple save. But for some reason, he moved slightly to his right, which left a bigger gap, which meant even though the ball was central, he ended up being at full stretch to save the ball. So I thought that was a little bit odd. Then maybe if that goes in, he's thinking, I probably got that positioning wrong. So he maybe got a bit lucky with that. But he did make the save. He tipped it over the bar. It was a massive moment. And obviously, he has been brilliant throughout his time, ever since he's come in for the last 7 games. And to do that with everything he's been through this season is phenomenal from him. And I'm so proud of him. And I think he definitely... His name is in the hat to be number 1 next season. Whether we do it or not, I'm still not 100% sure whether we will make him a number 1. But I think he definitely... has given himself a shot, whereas his Tottenham career looked dead at one point. And look, I think the latest rumours we've seen is maybe he could be looking to move, but we'll have to get into that later. But I'm willing to give it a go if De Zerbi chooses that. I've got a feeling we're going to sign a keeper, and we're going to sign one with a bit more experience. But he's done himself the world of good. He's done himself proud, and he's shown as well that you write your own story. People are writing stories for him. People are saying, oh, his career's over. Look how psychologically it's going to affect him. He got taken off against Atletico. It's going to kill him that moment. But he didn't let it. He didn't let it get to him. He didn't let it kill him. He didn't let it... At the end of the day, he told his own story. And the narrative of the season is he saved us from relegation. And everyone's forgotten about Atletico.
It's true. I mean, the job that De Zerbi has done since coming in here. You know, we hadn't won in 4 or 5 months or 4 months, whatever it was. To get these 3 wins and a couple of points in there as well for draws, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? You look at the players and the application of the players before and after De Zerbi has come in. Bentancur playing his best football for a long time. You're looking at Palhinha. You know, Palhinha was a bench player pretty much under Igor Tudor, and even under Frank, you know, he wasn't getting consistent starts. Palhinha, the goal against Wolves, the goal yesterday, and that performance at Villa Park as well. You know, 3 top things for us that have, you know, really set himself apart to save us in this situation. You're looking at the uptick in form of Pedro Porro as well. Like Pedro Porro, every game he's been so vital to us. Mickey van de Ven, you know, fighting for the team once again. Like, I don't think he's got enough, or maybe it's just because the quality of the player of the forward line. Maybe that's because of the quality. But you're looking at these players, Kevin Danso as well stepping up, Kinski stepping up, like all these players stepping up, which never would have happened if we wouldn't have made this change in manager. So like De Zerbi, I can all say about, Palhinha, Kinski and all these players have done it for us, but it's actually been De Zerbi. Like De Zerbi, I mean, I can't sing his praises enough. I feel like we've got the manager that we need now.
He saved us. No two ways about it. If it wasn't for De Zerbi, we would be playing in the Championship. I'm certain of that. The players would look devoid of confidence. They look completely lost and they look shot. They were getting battered from pillar to post by all the fans. They were the laughing stock of the Premier League. They were 14 games out of victory. There were no wins in 2026, even at home. You know we hadn't won at home since I think early December. Worst home form in the league. We had to wait till the last game of the season to get that home win, but you know, better late than never, I think I say. But De Zerbi has done a phenomenal job, absolutely phenomenal, with the amount of time he's had, 7 games to come in and turn this ship around. You look at the total, West Ham actually did finish on 39 points, which means he came in on 30. He needed all those wins to stay in this division, obviously, and of those couple of draws gave us a little bit of a buffer. But when considering we were no wins in 14 games, right? Or I think it got extended to 15 after the Sunderland game, 16, I think, even when after that Brighton game. That's like getting close to half a season without any wins. And you're looking at it thinking, we've gone all these games without a win. Not only that, he lost Romero, he lost Javi, he lost Solanke. The situation even got even worse after he came into the club. Kudus as well was expected to be back, lost him. So all those situations that he's had to deal with. And then you're looking at it like, we need 3 wins to stay up. We need we need probably 9 or 10 points out of these last 7 games if we're going to have a chance of staying up. When I think in the past 14 games we've got something like 4 points. So how the hell? Everyone was like, this is an impossible job. We've brought him in too late. Great, we've got him in now, but it's too little, too late. But you know what? What did he keep saying in the press conference? Only losers cry. We can't. I don't want to think negatively. Anyone thinking negatively, I send them home. We can win 5 out of 5 games. I'm lucky to have these players. This guy's a Brazilian national. You know, I've got one of the best youngsters in Europe. I've got all these incredible players at my disposal. He didn't dwell for 1 second about what he doesn't have. He was concentrating fully on what he does have and who can play. And you know what, it was an absolute masterstroke, and he just fueled belief in these players that we aren't back. We're not too good, not good enough. Sorry, it's not a situation where we're not good enough to get out of this situation. We're more than good enough. It's all about up here. It's all about how you approach the games. It's all about your mentality. And yes, even in those 7 games, our rocky periods where we got shaky and we lost our way. But he always got us back in line every single time. And every game, he made it a fight. Even the 2 games we did lose, we lost very narrowly by a goal, still very, very close. The 2 games we drew, we probably should have won those games in hindsight. And obviously, we got 3 wins out of it as well. You look at the record he's got. I mean, it doesn't sound that impressive, 11 points in 7 games and 42% win rate. Off the back of, first of all, Tudor not winning a single game in 5. I think Frank had a 26% record. He had a 1.6 points per game, De Zerbi, in his 7 games. Now, it's a small sample size, but you extrapolate that over a whole season, that is 60 points. Now, 60 points isn't that impressive, but that's top 5 in this current division. So he had us in 7 games on top 5 form, basically, where we were hurtling towards relegation when he came in without a win in sight, essentially. It's a miraculous job. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see him turning it around. But fair play to him. He's done a phenomenal job. And not only that, he's just given us a little bit of hope for the future. This club seemed to be going nowhere. This club, everyone had lost all faith about anything positive coming out of this club. We'd completely lost our way, not just from the results point of view, but also the kind of football we want to see at this football club. Our identity seemed to be stripped away from us this season when we were being subjected to Frank ball for a majority of it. And all of a sudden, De Zerbi's come in, and he's just given us a little bit of hope of maybe there is a bright future here. Under this manager, with some of these players, obviously there's going to be an overhaul this summer, but some of the players that are good enough to stay and some really good additions, maybe we can do something next season. And that's hard to think about after you finish 17th twice in a row, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have any hope.
I feel like he's completely united the fan base as well. Like, every Spurs fan has fallen in love with Roberto De Zerbi. And I don't remember the last Spurs manager that's actually done that. I know Ange had, he split the fan base. Thomas Frank obviously split the fan base. Igor Tudor did as well. Who's the last manager that's actually united a fan base? And it's such I know Ange probably did it in a short space of time because he won those first 10 games. But then it very quickly became very split. Obviously, De Zerbi's still got a long way to go, and he's got time for that to happen. But it does feel like the fan base is completely united over De Zerbi, and everyone just loves him.
And he speaks so well. I think even though he's like, English isn't the strongest, you listen to his press conferences and you feel 10 feet taller. Like, you feel that belief. Like, he speaks incredibly. He's full of passion. Like, the players seem to love it so much. They all speak so highly of him.
Every player I watch do an interview, their eyes and their face just lights up every time De Zerbi's mentioned. It's mad. Like, when Thomas Frank was mentioned, they didn't even want to look at the camera.
No, they're looking at the floor. They didn't buy into it whatsoever. They weren't having Frank at all, and that was from very early on. I don't know when Van de Ven did that interview. That was what, October, November time maybe. But you could tell even then the way he was speaking about Frank. I never thought he seemed excited about him. But you look now, and it's all changed. Everything's changed from the players, and that's massive. That's absolutely massive. And there has been a lot of problems this season, but I think the one thing we did right was just get De Zerbi in. I know we got him in too late. And
if we would have brought him in when Frank was sacked, we could have got Europe this 100%, season.
For sure. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We all know the reasons why. And this board are a lot to answer for to get into. But De Zerbi coming in has flipped everything. And I don't even think we've seen 20% of the potential of what he can do on a football pitch. I think he's been basically managing this team with 2 hands, 2 feet, bound and gagged probably, trying to get results in the situation where every single week he's losing another player and another player and another player. And not just any player, first team starters. Javi has a great game and then he goes. Solanke just comes back into the team and then he goes. Romero, Kudus. Every time it's like the most important player and they're the one going. Vicario even, we didn't mention him, but he went as well. He had a hernia operation just after De Zerbi came in. So every step of the way, it's not been easy whatsoever. It's been harder and harder and harder of every step. Yet he's just made it work, and he's gotten the results and the wins that are needed. And it wasn't an easy pathway. As I said, West Ham have been relegated with record points for the last 15 years. So this isn't a situation where he just needed 1 win and that was enough. He needed 9 points at the end of the day of the 7 games to get us over the line, and that just seemed miles away when he first came. I thought no chance we're going to get 9 points. How are we going to get 3 wins? We haven't won in 14 games. Now we need 3 and 7. How is that going to happen? But he managed to do it, and he managed to do it in a way where we could even had more points. Probably we're probably seeing it. The only thing that you're thinking, we didn't stay up. Luckily, we stayed up with probably unluckily that we didn't get more points. That's how he did it,
Agreed.
And that is quality management. That is the difference a coach can make. You can talk about the players and all this kind of stuff, and that conversation needs to be had. But coaching, it shows how much of a difference it makes.
You know what? You could see on the pitch how much the coaching has made a massive impact just in the way we pass the ball. But you're talking about man management style as well. Like, his man management has got these players on side like straight away. So, like I said, I can't credit De Zerbi enough. But I said it before, like, after the game yesterday, I was delighted we've stayed up, and massive relief that we have stayed up. But it's hard for me to actually celebrate it because of the embarrassment this season has been. Like, us staying up on the final day should never have to happen at this football club. You know, we're supposed to be in the top 6, the big 6, and we're talking about being nearly relegated on the last day of the season.
Yeah.
It's an absolute shambles what this season has been. This season has been a complete embarrassment, and I hear a lot of people being like, oh, the win on the final day has saved us from embarrassment. That's not true. The win on the final day hasn't saved us from embarrassment. It saved us from further embarrassment.
Or disaster. It saved us from...
Like, this board, for letting us get into the mess that we're in, have got blood on their hands, and it's a ridiculous situation for Tottenham to get into this mess, and they got lucky they were able to get De Zerbi in, and obviously they had to throw the book at him to bring him in, and they don't deserve credit for anything that they've done this season. It was a last Hail Mary which they had to do, and they had to pay a pretty penny to get it done. Like, everything about this season has been a complete disaster, and they need to learn a lot of lessons from this season, and Spurs should never, ever, ever be in this mess ever again. Seriously, like, I can't believe how close we actually were to going down this season. It's scary how close we were, and that shows you how bad management at the top can lead you to where we're at this season. So we've got the right manager in now, but at the end of the day, yeah, look, we can do better than this season, next season, with this manager in, even with the players that we've got, and with the likes of Kudus and Maddison and Kulusevski and all these players coming back. However, it's not going to fully change unless the board really, you know, pull their socks up and actually start acting like a proper football club. That's the reality of the situation. So
we've got to do what United did last summer. They realised how badly they screwed up, and what do? They're all right. We're not going to let that happen again. And they went and got Cunha, they went and got Mbuemo, they went and got serious players who they know are going to, you know, be very good in this league at this level. And look at them now; they're now third in the division. I understand that there's, you know, they didn't have Europe this year, so they had that advantage. But still, we don't have Europe next year, so we've got to take advantage of that, and we've got to have a very serious summer. We've got to make sure De Zerbi has all the tools he needs, because you give him the tools he needs, this guy can manage. This guy is a top class football manager. We've seen that.
Give this guy the keys. Give him what he needs to do to take this team onto the next level, or up many levels, up many levels, because that's where this club deserves to be. That's where you saw the fans. You know, the fans were just incredible over this whole course of this whole run. You know, De Zerbi must be thinking, like, what have I walked into here? Because the Tottenham Stadium has actually been dead silent all season. And then he comes in, the Brighton game, the Leeds game, and now the best of the lot, which was yesterday, the Everton game. Bloody hell, the fans, man. We must have the best fans in the world, I swear. The away games under De Zerbi and the home games under De Zerbi, the atmosphere has been second to none. I think yesterday might have been the best atmosphere ever in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's how good it was. On the high street was mobbed. The South Stand podium was crazy, you know. Inside the stadium was rocking. Like, it was deafening at times. That's how good it was. So the Spurs fans have really pulled this team over the finish line. They really have.
It just goes to show this whole narrative, this whole season about for the fans, and they're toxic and we're too demanding, and Alison Rudd saying this has been a crisis of the Tottenham fans, making all this bollocks, all this absolute garbage that has been Tottenham fans have been put through the mud by a lot of these mainstream media outlets this season. I think we've proved everyone wrong. I think throughout the whole season, I think there was anger and disgruntlement, but look at what we were watching throughout the whole season. We were going through games without a touch in the opposition penalty box, without a shot on target at home in big games. It was dreadful to watch. We were playing some of the most cowardly football pessimistic football that I've ever seen in football, let alone at Tottenham. It was nowhere near the standards that we expect of ourselves. And look at the difference. Just a little bit of a plan, a little bit of a team watching a team willing to go at the opposition and be the protagonist, as De Zerbi like to say. All we need was a tiny bit of that, and look what a difference it made to the fan base.
Bro, we've had 3 home wins all season. I can't believe we actually won a game at home yesterday.
We won a game at home.
We won a game, and actually De Zerbi is unbeaten at home. 2 draws and a win.
Yeah.
And that Brighton game should have been a win. Leeds, I think probably a draw was a fair result.
Well, we could have won it if
we could have won it. Yeah, fine, we could have won it. But I have more complaints about the Brighton game than the Leeds game, because I think we were much better against Brighton than we were against Leeds. So, you know, he's improved that home form straight away, unbeaten, 5 points in 3 games. We have won 1 game at home since the first week of the season before yesterday.
Yeah,
first week of the season, the last week of the season, and bang in the middle.
I think I think I read yesterday, the previous 14 home games, we had like 4 points, I think they said. They said we had 4 points. We had 10 losses and 4 draws from the previous 4. Does that make sense? Because when was Brentford? I know, that's what they flashed up on screen. The previous 14 home games, we had 4 points, and he had 5 and 3.
Yeah.
So
tells you everything you need to know.
That tells you the whole story. It's absolutely insane how little it takes to improve this team. But I think De Zerbi didn't even need a lot of time. Frank was going on about this long project and process and implementing this and that, and we have to implement phase 1, then phase 2, and all this bollocks, right? De Zerbi comes in, few weeks on the training ground, all of a sudden you're seeing some passes, you're seeing some patterns of play, you're seeing Tottenham going forward, you're seeing Tottenham being brave. You know what I mean? It didn't take a lot. It didn't take that much time. And all of a sudden, he's got us playing to a much higher standard. And I even think in these 7 games, we haven't even been amazing. We've just been a lot better than we were. But we haven't been like an incredible team.
No.
It's just been better, much better. And that's him with a few weeks on the training ground. Now, imagine him next season, full pre-season, 1 game a week. I think, who knows what we can do?
Absolutely. I'm so excited for the future, but it all does depend on how this board act. That's what it depends on. And look, I think we can get better regardless of the signings. So I do think we got a decent squad. And De Zerbi,
worse, can it?
and De Zerbi has proved he can get points with a very injury-ravaged squad. So when we have our players back, you assume it will get a lot better very quickly. But to be where we want to be, back in the Champions League and a top 5 finish and stuff like that, we need investment. We need the board to put up or shut up now. Like, they surely you would think they look at this season, 2 17th place finishes in a row, and they say this surely can't go on. They have to get their fingers out their asses now. They have to. There's no other option.
Well, De Zerbi said he's going to be strong, didn't he?
And they paid all this money for De Zerbi. Like, I think De Zerbi has got to hold all the cards now.
Absolutely.
He has to.
They can't sack him, can they? And I think De Zerbi said, only idiots forget what happened the past and what happened before. He said, only stupid people. We got to learn from what happened. We got to understand, why did we get all these injuries? Why was our performance so bad for so long? What mistakes did we make in recruitment and all this kind of stuff to lead us to where we are right now, which was on the brink of relegation? Of course, some players, this experience will make them stronger, but you've got to learn from your mistakes, and you can't forget the past. And that's exactly the message that De Zerbi has been putting out in his press conference. And I love that. He said in his interview, it's 7 o'clock right now, and when it gets to 8 o'clock, I'm planning for next season. We don't have a holiday this summer. We've got way too much work to do to have a holiday. We've made way too many mistakes in the past for me to spend any time not thinking about what we can do for next season. And I absolutely love that mentality. But he was very much sending a message to the board saying, 100%. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be strong about what I want. I've got a clear idea about what I want. And yes, we've got to make decisions together. But I know what I want. It's about you, fulfilling that. He said the word strong. He said, I'm going to be strong.
It's up to them to deliver it now. They've got the right guy in charge. It's up to them now to finally get their fingers out their asses. Do I trust that they'll do it? Probably not. But we've got an opportunity now to kick on. We've actually got an opportunity. And we can see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And we just need to go full steam ahead into that tunnel and out the other side at the light. And majorly invest in this squad. 1 game a week next year with De Zerbi, I think good things can happen. I really think Spurs can get back into Europe next season. I really do.
And you wouldn't have thought of that if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, it's time to appreciate being back in the Premier League for next season. It's time to be happy with the Premier League next season. But we cannot forget what we have been through over the last 2 years domestically. We cannot. 2 17th places in a row is nowhere near good enough. That's why I just couldn't. I felt like strange just celebrating it, because we're celebrating what's staying in the Premier League. Like, we should never be celebrating staying in the Premier League. I think it's ridiculous.
What was scenes like after the game when the final whistle went? Because I saw De Zerbi was running onto the pitch and
look, it was great. The players were coming up. Van der Ven was very animated. Van der Ven, you could see it meant a lot to him, because I think he sees a future with De Zerbi, and I think if we would have gone down, that relationship would have kind of ended prematurely. You saw players like Maddison. He was, he was gassed for Spurs staying up as well. And again, like Maddison, it's very important for him to be in the Premier League next season because of his age, and he's going into the strongest part of his career now, and he can't have a year in the Championship, and he didn't want to leave Tottenham. You could see how he speaks about Tottenham. So I think it was more relief than anything else from the fans, from the players. But it's time to put all that behind us now and forget this season even happened. Not forget the mess that they've put us in, but forget that we've actually survived. It should be a standard that we're a Premier League team. It shouldn't even be a conversation. We now look forward to next season and try and kick on. That's all it is. Like, it's more of a, like I said, like I can't even be that happy that we've survived. That's not the right word, because I'm delighted that we survived, but I'm not happy of the situation.
No, I'm definitely not happy with how the season's gone, put it that way. But I'm obviously relieved, and I am happy that we survived, of course, because it would have been just such a disaster.
It would have been catastrophic.
Exactly. The future of the club, who knows where that would have led to. So I'm delighted that we haven't suffered that. But the fact that it was even a question, on the last day is just shameful. That is shameful. And to be fair, De Zerbi, he can celebrate as hard as he wants because he's come in. He's got nothing to do with what happened before. He's come in and he's done a brilliant job, and he has the right. He's getting a hefty bonus with a lot of zeros, I'm sure of it.
Apparently 5 million.
And he's earned every penny of that, every pound of that he's earned in terms of that bonus. So let him celebrate as hard as he wants right now, albeit he's saying he's going back to work. But for everyone else,
go earn your money again for next season, Roberto.
For everyone else, it just should be a big sigh of relief and moving on from it, and trying to understand why we were in that situation and not repeating those mistakes.
Yeah, it's a big summer ahead, massive summer ahead, and we got to get business done early in for pre-season, so De Zerbi can get a whole long pre-season with them.
You said that as well.
And it's time. It's time now to kick on. Come on, people. We've survived. This nightmare is over. Let's see what can happen in the future.
He said in his press conference there's 12 good players who he knows can be good for next season.
Who's that?
That's what De Zerbi said.
Oh, you know, how many?
12.
12. So those 12 players for next season.
Interesting. Who are those 12 players?
Well, I think first off the bat, I would say Palhinha, Gallagher, Bentancur.
Yeah,
I think that's three. I'll say Van de Ven is one. I would say Porro is one. That's 5. I'd say a dog. He always mentions a doggy. I reckon a doggy's 1. That's 6. I would even say Kinski and Danso. I'd put them in there. Maddison, 9.
Then who else we got?
Kudus, I reckon, is 1.
Including the injured player, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, that's his squad. I reckon Kudus is 1, and maybe Kulusevski another.
But he hasn't managed really Kudus or Kulusevski and Kudus.
Yeah, but I think he's mentioned them
because he
before,
said,
though.
but no, I know, but he said as people and players, there's 12 players. He said 10, 11, 12 players.
I mean, just because they haven't played doesn't mean he doesn't know them as people.
I know, but he doesn't know. Well, you learn a lot more when they're on the pitch, don't you? That's when you really learn about the players rather than.
But he knows
outside.
these players. He's mentioned how he knows them very well. Even before he joined, anyway.
It's different looking at it from the outside. Of course, you have your ideas, but until you've managed them and they're on the pitch, and do they listen to exactly?
It's
what
true.
you're
Javi
saying?
Simmons could be 1.
Javi maybe, who's obviously going to be injured. There's going to be so much. I think it's going to be hard shifting all the players that we need to shift, though, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see what we do in the forward line. With I think Rishi's probably going to go.
Forward line needs major surgery, man. Major surgery. I wouldn't be upset to see the back of Richie. I wouldn't be upset to see the back of Solanke. It needs a major overhaul. We need another left winger to come in. We can't go another season. Patel being our first choice left winger.
Got 2 bloody ACLs in our front line with Javi and Odebear.
Yeah.
It's nuts, but it's going to be very interesting to see what. I mean, because if he's saying 12 players, and how big is our squad? 26. Well, we have to sell 14 players.
I don't think we have to sell 14 players. I just think that's the crux of who he's kind of really trusting in right now. But other players can earn trust as well. Trust is just because he doesn't have the trust now doesn't mean he's not going to have the trust tomorrow. So we're not going to be able to do that much business in the summer. It's just not realistic.
No,
so
4 teams would be nuts.
other players are either going to have to earn his trust or they're going to be sold in future transfer windows.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. I think there is going to have to be a lot of business, though, to be. I know maybe not 14, but a lot will still have to be done.
Yeah.
And there might have to be some players being sold that were unexpected. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, look, I trust in whatever De Zerbi wants to do. After these 7 games, I know it's not long, but he's proven to me by what he said, by his management style, by his tactics, he's proved to me that he could be a long-term fit here at Tottenham Hotspur, and I think he fits and gets the club straight away as well.
It's interesting. He said I don't want to change too many players, but he says we only have 12 players who are good and right people. So I was like, well, that leaves a lot of change. So you're kind of contradicting yourself there. But look, hopefully they have those discussions and they start planning now.
In De Zerbi, we trust. All right. Big up to all of you, by the way. 1,700 people in here with us today. Absolutely. The We Are Tottenham Army, strong as ever, people. Thank you very much as well. I wasn't in here when we hit that 200k, so big love to you all. Everyone smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Let's get to 300 people. Let's get to 300. The road to 300 is on. But we got a couple of super chats. Just before we get into those super chats, though, do go and submit your player ratings. That's the next segment that we're going to go to. The link is pinned to the live chat right now. Dark Sun G says, now West Ham can face Millwall in their derby. Come on, you Spurs. Exactly. Now West Ham got a proper derby to play.
Exactly. With real rivalry.
Michael Hellman says, it will take several weeks to process this season. Glad it's over. Another season of great coverage from you both through the ups and the downs. Come on, you Spurs. Lange and V-Night out. Big up to you, Michael.
Yeah. Get them gone.
Dark Sun G says, Kinski and Danso are great rotation players. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, I mean, I think both of them have come out with credit this season.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dark Sun G says, at least no more Wolves and West Ham away next season. That's very true. 2 grounds that we've struggled in.
But you know what? It's also interesting for next season. We're going to start the season bottom of the league for the first time, I think.
Is that right?
Because
bottom of the league. Wow.
Alphabetically, I think we're the bottom.
We're going to be the first team to go from bottom to top in the space of a week.
Exactly.
And Isaac Newton says, Mitoma in the left, between Bowen on the right, Osimhen or Vlahovic as striker will finish great next season.
Oh, no, I'm not saying no to that.
Yeah. I mean, Bowen needs a move, doesn't he? Going to the Championship, he's way too good for the Championship. 29 years of age. Would you take Jarrod Bowen?
Actually, in a weird way,
contract.
I don't know if he's the right fit for us in a weird way. Although it's hard to know how good he actually is. Is it just because of the situation he's in? Is that what's lost his little extra spark? But
well, the same with Kudus last year.
Yeah, he seems just a bit like lost the yard of pace or something. There's something that does seem a bit off with him, but he does have brilliant finishing ability. We know that. He's never been the most amazing dribbler, but is he? He might, I think it reminds me of when a bit like Sonny. That's kind of the player he is. He needs to be in a team where they're playing in behind all the time. I don't know if that's what we're going to do, but mate, I think I'm willing to give it a go. I mean, him and Kudus rotating, I wouldn't mind that.
Same as West Ham.
Yeah,
that got them all into all that mess. All right, let's move on to player ratings. Let's get it up. All right, Tottenham 1, Everton 0. Spurs are safe. Tottenham are a Premier League side next season. First up, we're going to go to Antonin Kinski. 7 from us, 8 from you, 8.3 from you guys out there. I mean, I thought it was a fairly quiet day for Kinski, to be honest. I think everything he did great. The save at the end, I thought was a fantastic save. The crosses that you mentioned were great. Yeah, I just thought it was a fairly quiet day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he made that save right at the end, which again, as I say, it was a good save on when you look at it for the cameras, but actually I think he made it a bit more difficult than it needed to be with some pretty poor positioning. So I think he might have got away with it, but he did make the save, and that was all important. He kept the clean sheet, second clean sheet since he's come in, and he's just been such a safer pair of hands, hasn't he, than Vicario, and that's been a crucial thing.
Yeah. Next up is Pedro Porro. 9s all round for Pedro. You guys giving him a 7.9. This guy, since De Zerbi has come in, there's just been a different attitude, different application about him. He's just been a warrior. You could just see he's gone to war in every single game under De Zerbi, and this one, from his defensive display, you know, winning those duels, always contesting for those duels as well, just running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, just making sure that no Everton player is going to get a cross in or breach the goal or anything like that. This guy has just been fantastic, and yesterday was more kind of evidence of it.
Yeah, and I don't think he's one player you can ever accuse of not caring. You know, he's always worn his heart on his sleeve, and that's one thing I think Frank as well, when it came to Pedro Porro, he used him so badly. I think all the time he would have him just basically getting the ball and just spamming it down the line constantly. That was basically his role, and I think De Zerbi's used him a much smarter way, way more suited to his strengths. I think he's been brilliant by and large over these last 7 games, and just reminds us what a good player he is, because even people starting to give up hope on him, saying, "Oh, he's done. We need to sell him. Not good." But this guy is class, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, and you know, under Thomas Frank, the build-up was non-existent, and to have non-existent build-up with a player like Pedro Porro in your team is just like crazy talk. And obviously, he's been much more central to the build-up since De Zerbi's come in. Next up is Kevin Danso. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. 7.7 from you guys. I thought he was a beast, man, and particularly in those last 20 minutes. Nothing was getting past him. Aerial ability for days. I just thought this guy was a cut up. I think this was a cut above all his other performances under De Zerbi so far. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, I think, no really sloppy mistakes, and I think some games he's not been as good on the ball, but I think, to be fair, Everton really didn't pressure him too much. I thought he dealt with Barry pretty simply. Barry really struggled to do anything up against him. Headed everything away. Was a really solid as a rock at the back, I felt.
Yeah. And next up is Mickey van der Ven. I gave him a 9, you gave him an 8. 8.1 from you guys. Again, like, he is another one that has just come on leaps and bounds under Roberto De Zerbi, where he looked all lost, not a care in the world, and now he's wearing that armband, that captain's armband, with pride. He's playing for the badge. He's playing for the manager. He's playing for the fans. The passion he showed at the end of the game, the passion he was throwing throughout the game. His defensive play was absolutely spot on, and I thought he was just winning everything in the air as well, which, you know, that's one kind of small criticism sometimes I have about Van der Ven, that he's not as good as in the air as maybe he should be for a guy of his size. But yesterday, I thought he was just gobbling everything up, and you could just see how much this guy wanted it yesterday. Fantastic.
And he gave away a foul for nearly getting his leg broken, which I thought was ridiculous. He somehow nearly gets his leg broken, and they say he made the foul. I thought that was a joke. But yeah, Van der Ven was imperious pretty much throughout the whole game. Really, really solid. And they struggled to get anything past him. And he also cleared one off the line, didn't he?
Yeah,
at the end?
Absolutely. Destiny Udogie, 7s all round from us, 7.1 from you guys, so very much aligned on Destiny Udogie. I thought it was a much better display than what we've seen in recent weeks. I felt in recent weeks he's been a bit weak, but in this game he wasn't weak at all. He was very strong on that left-hand side, locked it down. I don't think he impacted too much going forward, but his defensive display was faultless, really.
Yeah, because then they moved Ndai over to that side, and I thought he wasn't getting any spare change out of Destiny Udogie throughout the opening exchanges. There was at one moment where he kind of cut inside and looked a bit threatening, and Ndai had a weak shot, which Udogie failed to track. But that was the only time we moved inside in the whole game, I think. By and large, Udogie had it on lock. Didn't really do much going forward, but didn't need to, really.
Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur, 7s all round from us, 7.5 from you guys. I mean, he's been brilliant since he's come in. I felt like he just gives that kind of calm composure in the middle of the park that I think we've just been lacking so much since before he was injured. And this game was no different. He brings that calm and composure, but he's also got that grit and bite in the challenge as well. So, yeah, really good display from Rodrigo.
Yeah, fair play to him. Another solid display.
So consistent, isn't he?
Yeah, he's hasn't had a bad game really since Zerbi's come in. He hasn't really been off it in any game. He's maybe had better games than this one, but he's been consistently at a certain level, and he hasn't really fallen below a floor which maybe he was beforehand. And another silky display I felt, and I thought they really struggled to kind of dominate in that middle physically.
João Palhinha, I gave him a 9, you gave him an 8. They've given him an 8.9. Monstrous display from João Palhinha. He covered so much ground. He didn't give an Everton midfielder a second to breathe. Not 1 second to breathe. I think he was attributed with the most defensive contributions on the park, and he gets the goal as well. I mean, he did everything yesterday. What a fantastic display it was. And after a disappointing display against Chelsea, we're even questioning even him starting in this game. But you can't question it because he's been so vital for us this season. The goal against Wolves, the goal yesterday, big part of why we have stayed up this season. I think he contested 13 duels and won 10 of them. That is just monster. Yeah,
it was a very Roy of the Rovers kind of performance from João Palhinha, and it's one of those. It's these kind of games that sometimes you need a João Palhinha in these kind of games when it's a very nervy game, and you just need someone who's always going to put that grit in no matter what. And I thought he did that exceptionally well. Got the goal as well. Nearly got one before that with a poor effort at the back post. But I thought he gave Ghana and Irogbuna, he gave them the runaround. I think they just couldn't get any time or space because he was always there snapping at their heels every single time. There was one moment that did frustrate me where he breaks on an attack. I think it was like a 5-on-4 in our favour, and he just didn't release the ball, and he ended up shooting from 30 yards instead of creating opportunity. And that's kind of the drawbacks you get with Palhinha. But the other stuff in these kind of games is invaluable.
Next up is Jed Spence. I gave him a 6. You gave him a 7. 7.3 from you guys. Yeah, look, I thought he was a handful, but I just felt like the quality was a bit lacking from him. He had that one shot, didn't he?
Pickford spilled.
Yeah, that one where Pickford spilled. And yeah, I thought he was a big reason why Everton weren't able to just burst down that side. But so defensively, he defended well from the front, which we were saying in the predicted lineup. But when you're talking about on the right wing and to provide an actual threat, I don't think he provided too much of a threat.
Look, he's not a winger. He's not a position he's going to be playing too much in his career. I think he came in, did a job. I think he did the job well in terms of what he was probably asked to do. Protect Porro a bit more and just be an outlet and also press a bit better than Moani. And also keep the ball. He actually kept the ball a lot better than Moani does. So I think from that point of view, I was pretty content with him. I know this ain't going to be his position, so I'm not really judging him on like being a winger. I'm judging him on probably doing the job that he was asked to do, and I think he did it pretty well. So, gave him a 7.
Next up is Conor Gallagher. I've given him a 6. You've given him a 7. 7.2. Sorry, from you guys. Look, I think Conor Gallagher again is another one that's just his mentality has completely flipped since De Zerbi's come in. Off the ball, I thought he was absolutely brilliant, running at 1,000,000 miles an hour everywhere. He was literally everywhere. And I thought he was carrying the ball a little bit better in this game as well. But again, not too much of a goal threat, but I thought everything else was pretty good.
Yeah, no, not too many complaints. I think, again, his better work probably went off the ball than on the ball. There was a few moments, I think, in the early exchange of the game where he did look threatening, had an effort or hit the side netting, and he was looking like maybe he could create something. Never really happened, but I thought he just put in a tireless display yet again.
Next up is Matisse Tell. I gave him a 6, you gave him a 7. 6.9 from you guys. Obviously, we scored from his corner. Not the first time that we've scored an important goal from one of his corners as well, as the Europa League run showed last season. I thought in the first 20 minutes of the game, he was a threat down that left-hand side and forced a few fouls and was getting in some dangerous positions. But yeah, I think he did flatter to deceive for the majority of it, and I would like to see him being a bit more of a threat.
Yeah, I thought Tell was having a really good game in the first half. I thought his set pieces, as you say, were really threatening, and we should have scored from maybe more than one of them in the first half. So I think he was doing his job really well there. There was a moment as well I think Porro floats the ball over to him on the edge of the area. He takes one touch, and I thought it was a very, very similar strike to the Leeds one, but on this occasion, I think it was Tarkowski just gets his head on it, and I think if you watch the replay, it was definitely heading into the corner, so very close with that one. Good defending by Everton. I thought O'Brien, definitely that first half, was really struggling against him. He was getting turned left and right, got him booked, and nearly got him sent off as well with the second challenge, and O'Brien probably calmed down a bit after that moment. But yeah, second half he definitely seemed to turn out the game, and that's probably why he was taken off instead of Spence to play on the wing, because he just wasn't really providing the same energy in that second half. So good first half, not as good second half.
Richarlison, I gave him a 5, you gave him a 7, 6.1 from you guys. Again, it's just a bit similar to what we've seen in recent weeks from Richarlison, where he battles, he hassles, he harries, he wins the aerial duels, decent hold-up play, but in terms of an attacking threat, it's near non-existent, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I thought his hold-up play was a lot better in this one than it has been in recent weeks. I thought it was actually combining with players and sustaining attacks rather than it just being like a black hole, like it sometimes is with Richarlison, and the possession just disappears. So that was good. I thought, obviously, we know off the ball, brilliant stuff from him. His haranguing and harassing was great. Don't remember too many things he did. Here's one moment he probably feel like he could have done better when Dance, I think, has a header, falls right to him in the 6-yard box, and I think it takes him by surprise. His touch is off, and we didn't get the goal in that moment. But yeah, I think he ran himself to the ground for an hour. So fair play.
Radu Dragusin, 6s all round, 5.5 from you. I mean, he came on late to provide an extra. He came on for a doggy, didn't he? I don't really remember much Dragusin did.
The only thing I remember from him was he did a really poor clearance, which nearly put us in trouble late in the game, which it fell straight to, I think, George at the edge of the box, and I think he ended up crossing it, and Everton nearly got a goal from it. But other than that, I think he only had a few minutes and came to shore things up, didn't he?
There's not much to say about any of these subs, to be honest, but James Maddison, 6s all round. Good to see him back on the pitch once again. 6.7 from you guys.
Yeah, still clearly not as sharp as he.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I don't think he had as much of an impact in this game as he had maybe in the last game against Leeds.
Yeah, I think in the way the game was going, I actually didn't think it called for a Maddison, because we were just defending. And
I thought we should have brought in Solanke.
We needed like duel winners, and we needed players who were going to be physically strong, and Maddison was a bit off the pace. He wasn't getting near to his man enough, and not necessarily his fault. But the games against Leeds and Chelsea, obviously, we needed a goal, and that's where you need a Maddison. We would kind of in those moments camped a bit in the opposition half, and that's where he definitely made more of a difference. But in this game, we were camped in our own half. I think it was probably the wrong decision. But again, it did give everyone a lift. So,
massively, yeah.
So from that point of view, maybe it was right.
And I think it was at a time where a bit of nerves started to creep in as well. The stadium went a bit quiet, and as soon as Maddison came on, it did give everyone a lift, 100%. Archie Gray, 6s all round, 6.1 from you guys. Again, I don't really remember much that Archie did.
I don't know if he touched the ball.
Yeah.
Did he touch the ball?
It's 5 touches.
5 touches.
So yeah, not much
nice
to say.
To see him at least. Haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, it's true. Pat Mate Sarr, 6s all round, 6.1 from you guys. The only thing I remember from Sarr is when Kinski made that save. I think it's Porro had Tyreek George, and Sarr just goes belting out. I don't know what's he doing.
He's doubling up on George, so one of them goes down the line and one of them cuts inside, and for some reason they both went down the line, and George had all that space to cut inside. But that is Sarr's job. What Sarr's done, just stood his ground, and when George cuts inside, bam, he's there to make the tackle. But he just completely went walkabouts. Also, he dived for the penalty.
Was it a really bad dive?
Horrific. Nowhere near. I think when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's a penalty, we're going to get one, surely first one season. Referee blows his whistle, and then I was like, oh no. And you saw the replay. I do remember there was one when Didier Zakora made this mad dive. I remember it was against like Portsmouth years ago. Like, very similar to that.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, that was just like nowhere near the ball, and it was such a clear dive. And you know what? He was in such a good position. He could have scored. So why is he going over and diving?
He did so great to get into that position, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, took on 2 men, drove into the box. I was like, go on, Pape. And then he dives. It's like, Why did you do that? So it wasn't a great cameo. He also spent a bit of time on the ground, didn't he, injured? So it wasn't the best cameo.
And Kolo Muani, probably his last few moments in a Spurs shirt, came on, 6s all round. You guys giving him a 4.3. I mean, he came on and had a shot straight away, didn't he, from distance?
Yeah, from like 30 yards.
But apart from that, I don't think he had too much of an impact.
A couple of nice touches, but by and large, there was one moment where he like gets the ball and does a weird flick, and it's like, we're defending a goal here. Like, can you not do that right now?
Yeah, that's it. That is it from the player rating. De Zerbi, I'm going to give De Zerbi a big fat 10 just for keeping us up.
Yeah, I think fully deserved. I actually think he managed the game pretty well anyway. I think when we needed to attack, we attacked and we got the goal. When we needed to defend, we defended pretty well. I mean, by and large, what we're talking about is their best chance was a shot from the edge of the area, which Kinsey had to save. That's really all they had. A couple of headers here and there. But other than that, we defended brilliantly, I thought, by and large. And I thought we kept the ball well when we need to. I thought that first half, some of our attacking play, yet again, some brilliant football. I think the way he's got us set up is so much better than before. So, yeah, De Zerbi deserves so much credit.
Yeah, can't sing his praises enough. So that is our player ratings. Let us know in the comment section below. Do you agree, disagree? Put your ratings in the comment section below. We're going to get into reacts next. First of all, let's get into a couple of super chats. Oh, sorry. L'Apprentice says, will y'all dissect the letter to the fans from Charrington on the stream? Surely after this scare, they know their limited ability and should hand the key to the kingdom to Roberto De Zerbi. We can only hope. We most definitely will be getting into that statement, so don't you worry. And HJ5320 says, you think we should sell Lucas Bergvall as he doesn't necessarily suit De Zerbi's style of play with a lot of one-touch bounce passes? I think he's so young he can be moulded into it.
Who's that, sorry?
Bergvall.
Yeah, he's only, a teenager still. I think that is something that Bergvall, that kind of team stuff, I mean, which is weird to say when you're playing in a football team, but I think he looks at his best when he's doing stuff by himself, driving into space, having a shot from 30 yards. That's where he really stood out. But when it's kind of combining, doing little 1-2s, like being a bit more of a team player, he's got to learn that side of the game a bit more.
I agree with
that's probably why he hasn't been selected as much. Not to say he's selfish, I just think it's kind of, when you're a young player, right, especially when he was at Dewgarden, like, he had to do everything. That's how he stood out, is because he was, so good. He was doing everything himself. But now you're at a different level. You need to be part of a team a bit more.
Look, he needs proper coaching, and De Zerbi will hopefully give that to him. Dark Sun G says, imagine if we sent Kinski to West Ham and got theirs. Yeah.
Oh, my God, imagine that happened.
That was so close to happening as well. So close to happening.
That January would have been, oh, my God, it's all disastrous enough.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into reacts, see how the internet has reacted to Spurs staying up at the expense of West Ham on the last day of the season. And first up is the best account on the internet at this moment in time, and that is West Ham Central. And they said, Kinski and Palhinha have relegated us, FFS. This West Ham Central account had been so certain that they were going to stay up and so certain Spurs were going to go down there. They were literally tweeting about Spurs every single day for the past month and a half. It's great to see.
It's been brilliant, and now the chickens are coming home to roost.
Exactly. Lovely Koi says, what the heck was that thing earlier with the Everton player was picking a fight with Vicario, who's today's scene stealer, if it's not Vicario?
Yeah, there was, I don't know if you saw this.
I did see it, yeah.
Do you know what was, I don't know if you obviously can't hear what was being said, but I wonder what kicked it all off.
I don't know, but look at Vicario. He's proper offering Seamus Coleman out.
He's like, come on, let's go outside. Yeah, I thought that was so odd. I wonder what was, maybe they weren't happy with some of the antics from Vicario or De Zerbi. You got De Zerbi shushing them, so maybe they're telling him to shush or being out of the penalty, but I don't know what was going on. Anyone in the chat know?
So I saw commotion going on down there, and I zoomed in with the camera, and I saw Maddison, so I thought it was something between Maddison and Seamus Coleman, but then it ended up, when I saw it back, it was Vicario.
Yeah, I wonder what was going on, but you know what? Get used to stuff on the touchline with De Zerbi. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've seen it anywhere near the amount.
Remember with him and Stellini?
That's what
When
I'm saying.
Stellini was on manager.
They both got sent off, didn't they, in that game? So De Zerbi is doesn't take any shit on the touchline, put it that way.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, like, when he's not your manager, you hate it, but when he's your manager, you absolutely love it. This was what Vicario put on social media. With a picture of him and De Zerbi hugging it. Oh, look at that aggressive, attacking Italian hug, saying thanks a lot. Without you, wouldn't have been possible. Come on, you Spurs.
In a different context, that can be like Vicario gets sent off.
I know.
like angrily choke it out an opposition player, but because we're winning, the different context of the image. But yeah, fantastic. And it was what do you make of Vicario on the touchline yesterday?
Yeah, he looked.
Was it a bit too much, or was it? Did you appreciate it?
I appreciated it, to be honest. We saw it a couple of weeks ago, not with Vicario. I think it was with Maddison and someone else, and I love that kind of stuff. It just shows the passion and shows how much they care.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. And I don't know if he knows he's leaving or not. Come the end of the season, maybe he thought, just wanted to do my bit, before I go.
Solanke on Instagram says, and breathe. Not the sort of occasion this club should be celebrating, but we did what we needed to do. Thank you so much for your support throughout the whole season. We truly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Everyone at the club will make sure you guys never have to go through something like this again. Hands down, the most stressful season of my career. Missing the majority through injury is something I've never experienced before, and hopefully the worst is now behind me. Time to rest and prepare for a big year next year. Come on, you Spurs.
Well, welcome to Tottenham, Dom.
Yeah.
I feel for him as well, because it looked like he was going to go to the World Cup before this injury against Wolves, and then obviously him injured, and then Watkins going on mad form.
He got called up to the squad, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was not in bad form. He got a brace against City, got a goal against Palace, got another one. So he wasn't like playing badly, and then he got called up. It looked like he was going to go, and then he got injured. Watkins has gone on mad form, and now he's missed out. So it must be hard for him not going. But I feel like it's just weird with Solanke. I just feel we haven't seen anywhere near the best of him since in the Tottenham show. He's always been struggling with injuries or something's been going on with him. And even in his first game, he got injured and was missing for like a month, and then he got a 3-month injury with an ankle. Then he was missing for 6 months this season. So a lot of people judge him, and fair enough. If you don't think he's good enough, there's some evidence to suggest that maybe he's not so good in front of goal and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like there's still a very good player in there, which we just haven't seen. I wonder if we'll see it next season, or whether we'll be here. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how De Zerbi sees it. But yeah, there's definitely a player in there. But done are the days of carrying these players now. Like, I'm done with it. We just need to get players that we can rely on. And the reality is we haven't been able to rely on Solanke since he's come.
But it's mad. But like, in terms of when you look at a scout, right, and you're looking at that element, obviously you sign him thinking you can rely on him because he's never been injured pretty much.
I know.
So is that a Solanke problem that he can't be relied upon, or is it something wrong with us?
Yeah. The amount of injuries that we've got would suggest it's more a problem with us than anyone else. But it's hard to get your head around it, to be honest. Let's look at this next one. Spurs Army says, it appears as though Javi Simmons has promised Jed Spence that he'd buy him a watch. So this was a thing that they had on social media. Javi Simmons says, ha, 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 with a watch emoji, question marks, in response to Jed Spence social media posts. And Jed Spence says, I know you're a man of your word. I'll be waiting. Is he offered to buy him a watch for staying in the Premier League?
Looks like it. I think maybe he said, you're going to be playing right wing. If we stay up, you'll get a watch.
Look, Javi knows that he wouldn't have been able to get a transfer this summer, so he needs to stay in the Premier League.
Exactly. He knows that. Please, I'm begging you, I can't do Championship.
Matt says, all this means nothing. Time for talking is over and has been for a very long time. Not one single person can trust this club on a hypothetical promises. There is a long road ahead to earn that trust back, and that is in response to the Peter Charrington statement today.
Yeah, and we'll get into all of that in a separate video. But yeah, I've got a lot to say on the Charrington statement.
Houston or the Spurs guy 88 says red card Spurs, free kick Everton. How mad is that? Like, first of all, the Everton one is so much more of a red card than Romero's.
Van de Ven was really hurt by that. I was worried that maybe he'd done something.
It's a leg breaker, that.
Yeah, it's real. There was a lot of force, and he gave a free kick to Everton. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I looked at this very picture about a minute after it had happened on social media, and literally everyone was passing my phone around the whole stand. I was like, can I have my phone back, please?
It's crazy. And then Romero's is, I'm not saying it's a good talent, but it's much lower, you know?
Yeah, much lower.
And that one's getting a straight red from the referee. Like, it's ridiculous. And we did end the season with no penalty.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, fantastic.
Probably our first time ever.
No, apparently it's the second time.
Second time we've Tottenham ended the season without a penalty.
Yeah.
Don't remember when was the first time.
Was it 2012 or something? I can't remember the year, but they said it's happened to us before.
Great.
Yidvids says pretty rough season on the XG front except for the last 6 games, but for the first time since September 2024 we finally look at least semi-functional.
I think it means 2025 because I think this just covers this season, but yeah, you can see like look how bad we've been, and even the numbers, underlying numbers suggesting what a good job De Zerbi has done. You can see it here. The XG against was massively outweighing what we were creating, and De Zerbi has just flipped that even in 7 games. Been such a difference. Yeah. But as you can see, it's not been actually our XG that's been the difference. It's the XG against. There's been a massive down because actually the blue line is fairly consistent. Yeah. But it's that red line that's massively dropped. Yeah. So that's how he saved us.
Yeah, absolutely. And which you wouldn't have thought when we hired De Zerbi. We would think, all right, he'll get us scoring more goals, and maybe the door will be open at the back end, but it wasn't.
The whole conversation about when De Zerbi came in is like, how's he going to keep us up playing this way? He's going to, we were bloody considering Sean Dyche. Yeah. That's where it got to. We were saying Dyche.
We were talking about Harry Redknapp and all these.
Redknapp. This is where we were at. People forget that is where we were. Mason. People were clamouring for Mason. People were saying it's a disgrace if we don't go for Mason. That's what people were saying. That is where we were.
We were so in the mud. We're still in the mud. Let's not really.
There were people saying we have to get Dyche. We have to. He's the only one who can save us. And then it's crazy.
People were talking about Big Sam.
It's mad where we were.
Yeah.
It's mad. And we went through this collective psychosis. It's nuts.
Ben Jacobs says, João Palhinha has called his goal to keep Spurs up one of the most special moments of my life. And Tottenham boss Roberto De Zerbi has revealed he wants to keep Palhinha beyond his loan spell from Bayern Munich. So the quote was, João is a great example. He's on loan with us, but he's one of the first players to start here. And as we look to rebuild next season, it's around 7 p.m. and at around 8 or 9, we'll start looking forward towards next season. Do you get the feeling we're going to keep him?
I think we will. If De Zerbi really wants him, the price they're going to pay for him, I think that we probably will keep him. I would like to think, you could probably get someone with João's mentality, maybe with a bit more technical ability, but if he feels like he's good enough to do what he needs him to do, then keep him. I'm just worried about where that leaves us in the middle, what that means for what we need to do, because he's saying Bentancur, João and Gallagher are all going to stay, which is fine. But what does that? How many spots does that leave? He said he wants 2 players in each position. That's what he was saying. So that would mean 4 centre mids and 2 number 10s. I'm guessing. Is that 6, or is it maybe he wants more? But that means a lot of shifting. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, have to wait and see how it all plays out. But this next one, look at the emotions here from Pedro Porro and Romero. To be fair,
Father Romero made the trip.
Yeah, he made it.
He made it. He went. It's very odd, this whole Romero thing. Very odd, because De Zerbi, this couldn't have been the plan.
It was not the plan. He saw all the reaction that it was making. I don't think he thought it would have been as big of a story as it was. And you had all of a sudden Spurs legends speaking about it. You had the media speaking about it. You had Spurs fans coming on social media calling this guy a disgrace and all this kind of stuff. He's like, all right, where's the next flight to London? I need to be back for this.
Yeah, because De Zerbi was talking like he wasn't going to be there. He was saying, he pretty much said it. What did he say? Not all leaders are the same. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So that was the plan, surely, for him not to be there. And then obviously he ended up.
I think he made the trip to save face a little bit. Belgrano won the final, by the way.
Yeah. Look, I'm happy that he decided to come rather than not come. And obviously, he was on the touchline. He was encouraging his teammates. I'm happy he did. It's a shame that it came to the fact that he had to be shamed into doing it. But he made the decision to do it. He still could have not, and he decided to come. So I'm glad about that. But I don't know what. The whole thing is odd.
It is very odd. But yeah, Pedro Porro at the end of the game just dropped down to the floor and just started crying. And then this is just him. Romero looks like he's got a bit of a tear in his eye here as well.
Yeah, he always seems to be crying.
Next one is Richarlison's season. Just look at this, man. This is Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor, Roberto De Zerbi. It is just such a stark difference. Thomas Frank, 26.9% win ratio.
Yeah.
Mad. 1.1 point per game. And then you look at De Zerbi. Don't even want to look at Tudor. It's 0%.
So wait, what would Frank, what was 1.1? Would that maybe stay it up times 1.1? So actually 41 points is what we ended up on, and that would have been Frank's total.
But you also got to look at the trajectory.
Though.
Exactly, the trajectory under Thomas Frank was going down.
All his probably 80% of his points were in his first 2 months.
Exactly,
and then we didn't win for 14 games. So
exactly,
he had a 1.1 then. Would
Frank,
it have been?
I don't think Frank would have kept us up.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been a 1.1. If he managed for the whole year, he wouldn't have been a 1.1, I don't think. But De Zerbi, yes, it's mad. As I said, with De Zerbi's points total, he got 11 points from 7, but 1.6 puts us on 60 points, which actually would have put us level with Liverpool in 5th, which is how tight things are, by the way. But it's crazy to think that in 7 games, he had us, with that points per game, which... 1.6 doesn't sound impressive when you put it in the context where that Liverpool are 1.6 and they're 5th. It sounds a lot better.
I think the league's going to be equally as competitive next season as it is this season, with everyone looking to improve, blah, blah, blah. And you might have a few teams that might get a bit worse, the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth, Sunderland, who've never been in Europe before. So... I think De Zerbi can get a better points per game ratio than that next season. And if he can, then that'll put us back in Europe. I'm sure of it.
100%.
Spurs Express. This was De Zerbi calling out the Times, who publish pieces criticising the Spurs fans. And he says, the fans are fantastic. I think some newspapers spoke too much. The Times, I think, about the fans. The fans, I don't want anything from them. I am honest. I am sincere. Not many times have I seen the stadium like this. Not just today, but in all 3 home games. They were just fantastic before the game with the bus. I felt emotion. It will be great memory for all my life.
Yeah, he said it's his best ever achievement in management, keeping Tottenham in the Premier League, which is nuts. But if you read this, go click the Times article, Sammy. Spurs fans made home unwelcoming. No wonder Romero won't be at the last game. Tottenham supporters have practically engineered a club crisis.
You got to remember
with their negativity, undermining players. What do you mean we engineered the crisis?
Look, first of all, we haven't engineered the crisis.
What is this bollocks?
You got to remember as well, there were things from players who were saying similar things. It's
true, but it's not Tottenham. No, but. There was players saying there's extra pressure at home because we've been critical. That's fair. I understand that, but to say we've engineered the club crisis,
we haven't engineered a crisis. But I think at certain points, I do think at certain points of the season, us fans haven't done our job properly. I think we were saying that throughout the season.
We were booing Vicario and stuff.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that, and booing the team off like after Bournemouth and stuff like that. Like. There was no need for a lot of it, but we definitely haven't engineered it.
I think this is absolute rubbish. By the way, this is the same woman who did that article about Frank. So he's the most.
Why am I not surprised?
He's the most eligible manager or some bollocks like that, and she seems to have a hard one for Frank. So
yeah.
I don't know. Alison Ryder seems to be a massive rage baiter against Tottenham fans, I think.
BLTHFC says, they've never made me hate him. Absolutely criminal the way he's been treated this year with his abysmal first manager. The sun will shine on us again. And this is Javi Simmons on social media saying, not the season we envisaged. and not the end of the season I would have ever imagined. But we survived. I'm proud of the boys. Your effort today was incredible. To the fans, you're incredible. I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have played my part. Now it's time to start rebuilding.
Such a shame he's bloody got injured just as Deserby's getting going.
I know. He had that moment against Brighton.
I'd love to have seen him with a few weeks, under Deserby, see what he's capable of. It's going to be a while now till we see that, but yeah, let's hope Maddison can step up in his space, and let's hope we get to see the best of him. But it's so frustrating with Xavi. It's such a massive shame. I think there's obviously real talent in there. We all know it, but let's hope he comes back stronger.
Yeah, this Everton fan took to social media after the game saying, the loudest stadium I've ever been in, and I thought the Hill Dickinson against Chelsea was the best until today. I mean, it was bloody loud yesterday. And when this stadium gets going, we show how much of a fortress we can make it with the noise. We've done it, the ones that stand out was obviously Arsenal at home when 3-0, and Gary Neville said we brutalised the Arsenal players for 90 minutes. That definitely made an impact. The Boda home game. I remember the Ajax home game. Like these kind of games. I know Ajax, we lost on the day. But when we show out like that and provide an atmosphere like that, it just makes me think, why can't we just do this all the time, man?
Yeah,
maybe not to this level, but
I think, I think you play the football that we want to see, and you see a team that's being proactive. Don't have to win every game, but you see a team that's competitive, fighting for every ball and being brave on the ball. I think you're going to get some good atmosphere, I'm telling you.
I think the vibes are going to be good next season under De Zerbi. Next one, again, the same picture of Paulo Romero. Go to the next one after this.
This was just celebrations after the goal.
Yeah, look at Romero.
Right,
look at Maddison.
Palhinha.
Bruno Saltor as well, bang in the middle of that.
Yeah, I think they all kind of realise what a big moment that is. You see Bergvall there on the outskirts as well. It was a big moment. I mean, a lot of people saying, is this over the top? Is this a bit much in the situation? But I think it was, when there's so much on the line and such fine margins, each goal was crucial, isn't it? Yeah. So I get it.
You got to remember as well, like everyone was saying we're down, and for these players, it must have knocked their ego so much. So it's just like a pressure cooker, isn't it? And it just all got released. This next one just still of De Zerbi. SZY Comp says De Zerbi thinking about taking off his shirt.
Yeah, he thought about it for a second. I think he maybe thought it was going to be a bit too much. He was like, going to take it off, run it on the pitch. I mean, still got 45 minutes to go. That would be the definition of over-celebrating, surely. If he's taking a shirt off, moving around at 1-0.
In the first half.
Yeah, that would be a bit much.
Jake says, we were genuinely debating Ben Davis interim versus Tim Sherwood versus Sean Dyche at one point. A season like this can never happen again. It's Ben Davis as interim.
Sherwood was coming out saying, give me the job. All these crazy things. What craziness was engulfing us during this season that these things were... Everyone was saying, got to get Harry in. He was the consensus pick, Harry Redknapp.
Would have been better than Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor, though.
Everyone was saying, you've got to get Harry. You have to. Someone who knows the club. There's all this stuff happening. It's nonsense, and De Zerbi's just come in, got the job done. Fair play to him.
So Anthony Dabundo has given us a bit of a XG against numbers in the De Zerbi games. Spurs' defensive improvements under De Zerbi were what ultimately kept us in the Premier League. Defending with the ball, what a concept. Never heard of that one before.
Yeah, but as you say, if you look at all these numbers for all the games we've had, we haven't allowed more than 1 XG.
Yeah.
And he said Tottenham allowed 1 XG in every game since January the 4th, before De Zerbi.
Yeah.
So that goes to show what it's like flipped massively.
Yeah.
The defence. So fair play to him.
Jake as well says, Kinski, bro, we ain't seen a redemption arc like this since Jesus was resurrected. Absolutely.
Should make a film about it.
It's mad, because if you go back to after that Atletico game and just see what all the fans were saying about him, see what we were saying about him, see what everyone was saying about him.
Yeah,
and now
he's one of the main reasons we stayed up.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Kizzy says, the moment the final whistle blew, our captain collapsed. Look at Van der Ven.
Yeah, just completely... Absolutely love it. Yeah, look, I can understand that. You just finally over. The season's over. We just about got over the line. Must have been just a massive weight off their shoulders.
I swear, at the stadium yesterday, I was saying to Dad, like, before the game, it felt like we're about to play like a European Cup final or something.
Honestly,
That's
the
what it felt
nerves.
like. And at the end of the game, when the final whistle went, it felt like we had just won a trophy as well.
It's insane.
Harry Kane on Instagram says, congratulations to everyone at the club, especially the fans. Massive fight and result on the final day. So Harry Kane was watching, and Harry Kane was
Big up, Harry.
cheering us on.
Come on, he still cares.
Jack Pitbrook says, the thing that's really breaking my brain is that if you strip away literally all the context, they've basically ended up where they were this time last year versus Brighton. Everyone happy, singing, clapping the team. The stadium still full long after full time. Vibes off the chart.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Obviously, last year we had the trophy.
And we finished the same place.
So finished the same place, but it was a weird. I mean, obviously last season the trophy was obviously a lot better than just staying up. So we had Champions League football to look forward to. But it was also very similar in the sense that we had a shit Premier League season. As much as we were happy, there was still that underlying we can't let this happen again feeling. But the last day was a great day just because there was such great vibes, and yet here we are again. Let's just hope next season ain't the same.
Yeah. Spurs Watch says, thank you, Roberto. That's Roberto giving his praise and claps and appreciation
And was
to
this
the
the moment
fans.
he was just
Taking it all in.
I think they were singing "Oh, when the Spurs," was it? And he was just taking it all in. Did he have a chant yet, De Zerbi, or nothing?
Not that I've heard, no.
Happened. But he was
Definitely needs one.
got a good ovation from the South Stand, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
There.
Tottenham tweeted this out. Crucial win on the final day. Just that João Palhinha celebration. Just mad. So much passion.
Yeah, I love it.
Sam Tabital, Pedro Porro collapsed on the ground as Tottenham secure their survival. Yeah, there's so many players just look at Sarr as well. Sarr was only on for a little bit.
It was also absolutely boiling, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Didn't probably contribute.
It's actually, I was saying this to Danny, because there was a lull period in the first half and the second half, and I was saying, and he was going mad about why are these players, why I was like, do you realise how hard it is to play in this heat?
Yeah, it's true.
It's mad. This is England. We're not like playing in South America, you know what I mean? Anyway, that is the way the internet did react to the game yesterday. Big day yesterday. Spurs survived, and we lived to fight another day. So big up to everyone involved. But now we move on, people, because it's time for a Tottenham update. We're going to get into a lot of transfer business, a lot of other nitty-gritty stuff, and we're going to start off talking about. Shall we do the Charrington thing first? Actually,
Yeah, let's talk about Charrington.
forget the Tottenham update. We're going straight into Peter Charrington's statement on the website, his message to the Spurs fans, and let's see what we make out of this. So, a letter from Peter Charrington, the non-exec chairman, and he says, "Dear supporters, on Sunday, despite a season that gave you so little, you gave everything. A full stadium, full voice, full belief, until the final whistle. I have thought carefully about how to begin this letter, and in the end, that moment said it better than I can. It is why we owe you honesty about where we have fallen short and what we are committed to now." First of all, this is written by someone who didn't even know how many players were on a football pitch before he joined Tottenham. Last September, we recognised that something systemic had to change at Spurs. The Lewis family stepped in and authorised a full reset. That decision was not taken lightly, and it came later that it should have. But what has been put in motion is real, and it marks a genuine break from what had come before. As part of that process, we discovered some uncomfortable truths. The qualities that make Spurs distinct, our football, our ambition, the connection between the team and its supporters, had been allowed to fade. Football success had not been our driving our decisions. We did not have the right expertise in key roles. We did not build squads good enough to compete in the most demanding league in the world. 2 17th place finishes in a row is not acceptable, and we will not dress it up as anything other than falling well short of what this club expects. Since September, we have restructured leadership across the club with a refreshed executive and football structure. Most of the team are already in post and others arrive in coming weeks. The board are committed to this leadership group and will give them the stability and support they need to run this club in the right way. Well, that means that Vinay is staying on, that's for sure. Roberto De Zerbi is signed as the men's head coach for 5 years, a reflection of our belief in his ability and our commitment to build back where we need to be. He is passionate, committed and positive in everything he does and represents the kind of football and ambition that Tottenham Hotspur should stand for. It's funny he talks about the kind of football. He didn't even know how many players were on a football pitch, so I don't know how he knows what the right kind of football is. Our commitments to you are clear. We will build a squad led by Roberto as head coach with the right blend of experience, youth and leadership to compete at the highest levels of the Premier League and European football. We will invest across multiple transfer windows to rebuild, balance and strengthen, with the summer representing an important first step in that work. We will continue to modernise our football operation with a significant focus on raising standards across medical and performance. We will increase investment in the academy to ensure that the pathway from the youth football to the first team is one of the strongest in the country, and we will build on a strong season for the Spurs women by continuing to invest in a world-class women's team led by Martin Ho. Since becoming chairman, I have realised that Spurs fans are built differently. I have seen it over and over again in the last 9 months across every generation, in every conversation. Even in the darkest of seasons, you showed up and carried this team. That loyalty is not something that we take for granted. It is something that we are determined to be worthy of. There has been speculation about the ownership and the future direction of the club. Let us be direct. Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. The Lewis family are wholly committed to this club to rebuild. They will provide the stability and investment needed at entry level to move us forward, and they see this as a long-term responsibility, not a short-term fix. They're not selling up anytime soon, it doesn't seem like. This season fell well short of what Tottenham Hotspur demands. We must be in the fight with the best team in the league, with the best teams in the league. Every season, we are rebuilding this club with that standard in mind. The club lives in the hearts of everyone who ever loved it. It has been carried through the living rooms and the stands, weekends and long journeys home. We will get back to where we belong. Peter Charrington. And you know what? On the face of it, it's an all right statement. But I'm fed up of this lip service from this club and this board year in, year out. Like, this isn't the first time we've heard stuff like this from this board. It's the same thing. Like, Daniel Levy said something similar, or Vinay said something similar last year.
I find it very interesting. Vinay didn't say anything. Apparently, he was no program notes in the program or anything from Vinay, especially considering he's been the one kind of in charge of communications, hasn't he? Ever since he's come in, he said stuff in January. He said stuff in the summer. So he's been like front and centre. And I find it interesting that Charrington is the one coming out now, not him. Is that, I'm not saying that's because Vinay's leaving, but is it because they know the reaction against Vinay right now and there's a lot of action towards him, whereas Charrington's going under the radar a bit in terms of the blame being apportioned to him?
Well, I think a lot of people have been like, well, Charrington is actually the chairman, so where is Charrington?
Yeah,
nobody's ever heard from him.
So I just find it interesting he's the one who spoke and not Vinay. I expected Vinay to make a statement. He says that they're going to have full trust in the leadership group. So that tells me that Vinay ain't going anywhere. He does as much as everyone wants it. It seemed Ali Gold, I watched a video of him today. He said that there's a feeling inside Tottenham that Vinay has had a lot to deal with, and there's a lot of sympathy for him or some bollocks like that. Doesn't sound like Lange is definitely safe though, because I don't know. He's not part of the leadership group, is he? Vinay is, but he's not. So maybe hopefully there'll be a change there. And we heard Kel's coming in. There's rumours that they want to do a dual thing again, but let's hope just cut ties with Lang, or at least definitely don't give him the role of sporting director, and we can move forward from there, because his decision making has been utterly terrible. There's just been another, I just read from, it's kind of linked to the statement, but it was from Tom Allnut speaking again about what was it, about Paratici, and about how there was a lot of not uncertainty, a lot of discontent that got that got festered during that period with Frank, and that Paratici in November wanted to sack him. We've heard that before, but they were saying how they really believed in Frank, and they were saying, it's just teething problems, whereas Paratici was really hammering them home like, no, this needs to change. And obviously they kept with him. Paratici's now left, and look where we are. So they've made such awful decision after decision. They brought in Igor Tudor, which was a horrendous decision. They panicked late on and ended up spending bucket loads to kind of convince De Zerbi to come through the door. Thomas Frank was an absolute unmitigated disaster, and it was a horrible direction to go in. And the recruitment over the past, especially 2 summers, and you add into that January was beyond anything we've ever seen of how incompetent that was. A large part of why it went to the last day is because we did nothing in January. If we would have done more business in January, we probably would have been a lot safer, a lot quicker.
Yeah,
that's the truth. So this board have been making misstep after misstep. The reality is, it sounds like, by what Charrington's saying, he's acting as if they made all these changes without a contingency plan. It's like, let's just get rid of Levy and we'll see what happens. Like, you've got to have a plan, surely. You've got to have things in place. You've got to have people lined up. They said they want to get the best people, best in class footballing wise. Well, you should have had that lined up by the time you made the decision that Levy was gone. You shouldn't even have fired Levy before you made that decision, that you've got those guys lined up to come in. People who understand what it means to lead a massive club like Tottenham, or who have got the quality to do that. For me, he can speak all he wants, but I've got no faith in him that he's the right guy to lead us. He can say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Well, what makes you the guy that's good enough to lead us? What makes you the guy who's good enough to be chairman of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who knows what decisions are the right decisions? What faith do I have in you to make those decisions? You can say, we're going to back De Zerbi, we're going to put the best people in place. Well, why should I trust you to put the best people in place? What makes you so trustworthy? I understand, I appreciate he's not giving many excuses to where we are, and yes, he said stuff about the previous ownership leaving and those decisions had to be made, and there's a lot of change that has to happen. That's fair, but he did say, the end of the day, basically what's happened is unacceptable. We take blame for that, and we have to try and rectify that, and that's absolutely right. So I appreciate him saying that, but I've got no faith that he's the right guy to implement any of these changes. I don't see what makes him qualified to do so.
Nothing. He doesn't know anything about football, Charrington. Like I said before, he didn't even know how many players were on a pitch. Like, how can anyone have any faith in that? It's ridiculous. Like I said before, this is all lip service. We've heard it here, we've heard it there, we've heard it everywhere, year after year. This board, whether it be Levy, whether it be Vinay, whether it be Charrington, they say what the fans want to hear at that moment in time. And the fans don't want to hear excuses for the shit show that is what's happened this season. They want to hear them take accountability. And yeah, fine, they've taken accountability for the shit show, but nobody has any faith in what they can do moving forward. Nobody at all. And we've heard so many times about these guys talking about moving forward, and none of them have ever fulfilled in the promises that they've made to the club or made to the fans about moving forward. So this is a massive... Look, the reality is these guys ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So there's nothing we can do about it. We can make our voices heard, we can protest, we can do this, we can do that. But if they have no interest in selling, they're not going to sell. That's the crux of it. So I don't believe in it. I don't trust it. And I will only believe in it when I see it. The proof will be in the pudding, always.
Actions speak louder than words at the end of the day. That's the reality when it comes to any of this kind of stuff. He's saying that the football, we haven't been making footballing decisions our priority, which is what we've been saying for years, by the way. Obviously, the fans have been saying that for a long, long time. And now he's saying, yeah, it's true. Footballing decisions haven't been the priority of this football club, and other things have, taken precedent. But was Charrington really brought in to make footballing a priority? You know what I mean? Charrington. Has he got a footballing background? Does he know what a good football team looks like? Does he know how to own a massive football team like Spurs? Does he know what good decisions to make? So when it comes to that, like, I kind of get the feeling like if footballing decisions were a priority, you wouldn't be making the decisions. That's kind of where I'm at. So when he says this kind of stuff, he's absolutely correct. But I don't know if he's come to the right conclusion. of what we should do about that. We need people who know. Who if you've really got the best footballing interest of the club at heart, step aside, give other people a go, because I don't think you quite know how to run a football club as big as Tottenham. I mean, he says things are absolutely correct, but it's things fans have been saying for years. Football success has not been driving our decisions. Absolutely correct. We did not have the right expertise in key roles. Absolutely correct. We did not have squads good enough to compete in the most demanding league in the world. Absolutely correct. The qualities that make Spurs distinct, our football ambition, the connection between the team and the supporters, have been allowed to fade. Absolutely correct. We've been saying this for years and years and years. This is nothing new for Tottenham fans. You're not saying anything that's going to surprise us with these things. It's great that you find that the ENIC as an entity have finally admitted this, because that's what he is. He's a spokesperson on behalf of ENIC, right? So obviously Levy's been denying this every single year, but he's obviously admitted it now that these things are absolutely true. But until I see evidence, or I see, actions being put in place, and then we see the consequence of their actions, actually things improving, I've got no belief or faith that you're gonna be the guy to rectify any of that.
Exactly. The first point of call, as soon as the whistle ended the season yesterday, should have been to sack Vinay and Lange. That should have been the first thing to happen. But they're actually doubling down and saying we're going to trust in the leadership of this club. And the leadership of this club has made wrong decision after wrong decision and nearly got us relegated. And yeah, fine, they saved it in the end by bringing Roberto De Zerbi, but that doesn't give up. That doesn't, mistake or give excuse for every other bad decision that has been made. It's ridiculous, to be honest. So it's hard to listen in a positive way to anything that any of these guys say, because we've been stung so many times by the brand of ENIC, however it's been dressed up. So I don't think any fan is going to believe this or take seriously anything what they say until they see the proof right in front of them. Like
he says, we would increase investment in the academy to ensure that the pathway from the youth football to the first team is one of the strongest in the country. How many times have we heard that? Every statement we hear something to that effect. Every single year, every single time, whether it be Levy, Vina, whatever, there's a statement in their statement at the end of the year or whatever. There's always a line like that. Yeah, it never happens.
It's true, but I would say that you have seen an uptick in the academy over the last couple of years. Not pathways, but that's also down to the manager of the club at that certain time.
That is irrelevant. I'm just saying, every year.
It is relevant because you're looking at better quality players coming out of our academy now.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's irrelevant. I'm just saying he says we'll increase investment in the academy to ensure. He's not saying we'll increase investment in the academy to get better players. Obviously, that's the implication, but he says we'll increase investment so that there's the pathway to the first team is one of the strongest in the country. We don't have a problem with quality in our youth players. The pathway is a problem. Every year we say that. Every year we're going to create a pathway. We're going to create a pathway. Yeah, it's never happens. Yeah. It never ever happens. So what are they actually going to do? Pumping more money, is that going to create the pathway? Yeah. You have to, at one point, actually give them an opportunity. Yeah. That's the truth.
But also giving them an opportunity is not on Charrington, and it's not on Vinay, and it's not on Lange. That's up to the manager, surely.
Mm-hmm. Well, in theory. Well, it's up to everyone. It's up to everyone getting these players ready, and they got to get the opportunities. But the manager's under so much pressure, of course, they're going to say, well, why would a manager opt for a youth player?
Well, if they're good enough and they see the potential in them.
Even if they are good enough.
Look at Ange, he gave Mikey Moore all those opportunities because he saw something in him.
Yeah, he had to. But my point is, if you're a manager, right, you've got a youth player who's 18, who's got bags of ability, incredible, but he's not going to be a very good player for 2 years. Or you can push the club to say, actually, can you sign this player for 30 million, 40 million? For a right winger. What do you think the manager's going to push for? Of course he's going to push for a signing every single time. At one point, it is on the club to say, no, we actually have to start giving players opportunities. Because there's no incentive with how much pressure's on these managers, unless they're definitely in it for the long haul. There is zero incentive to give them a chance.
It's also on the manager as well, because, Pochettino said it in the thing about Harry Kane, the club are offering him Welbeck and this one and that one. And he's like, I don't need these guys. I've got Harry Kane right here. I'm going to give him a go. So the manager has a big part to play in it as well. It's not just on the ownership. I
understand that, but I'm saying at some point, the ownership do have to say, if you're actually serious about giving these chances, you have to leave spaces in the squad for these players.
But also the manager has to believe in these players as well.
I understand
that. It can't just be, all right, look, we're just giving you these youth players and make do with what you got. If that was the case, we'd be up in arms about it. The manager has to believe in these players and have to want to give these guys an opportunity.
Right, but my point, I understand that, but my point is, by and large, the managers won't. It's not in their interest to.
If they're good enough, he is. If they're good enough, if we
I think that's a too idealistic world. It's not even that. I think they want you want a player who's going to come in and do it right away. Very rare of these youth players going to do that. They need time, they need experience, they need minutes on the pitch to get up to speed. Why would managers want to do that and suffer results in the short term for the good of the player when that's not in their interest? I'm just saying, by and large, that isn't. You get some really exceptional Rashfords and Kanes who just come in, hit the ground running immediately, and just incredible. But that's like 1 in a million. You can't just always hold out for that 1 in a million every time. Is the point?
Yeah, but also on the other side of it, we can't just give youth players, the chance willy-nilly without them having.
Yeah, but look at the talent we have.
Yeah.
Why though? There's a lot of them who's done really well. And some of them just deserve an opportunity. Yeah,
and I'd love them to get an opportunity. I'm not saying they're not, but all I'm saying is that the pathway to the academy, to the first team, the manager has to be bang on board with it. Otherwise, there's no point.
Of course.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that, but my own point is, they say this every year and it doesn't happen, and they can't just take no blame for that.
Yeah. I guess you have seen academy players get a couple of minutes here and there a bit more over the last couple of years with like the likes of Mikey Moore. Who else? He had the centre back that came in a couple of times this season that did well. Yeah,
in the midst of our worst ever injury crisis, they got some chances.
So you have seen it a bit more, and they've actually done well. Mikey Moore was fantastic in the Europa League. He's gone over to Rangers, and there's a pathway for Mikey. Junaid Byfeld, I thought he looked good in the small cameo appearances that he's had. So these guys are clearly good enough. We have to wait and see about the rest of them.
And hopefully this is an important one. We'll continue to modernise our football operation with significant focus on raising standards across medical and performance. That has to be near the top at the moment, because we can't have another season like we've just had injury-wise. 2 seasons in a row is just... It's too much.
Yeah.
It's just way too much. There is clearly something going on. Maddison, we're talking about him. He's been talking about it. There has to be something that could be done about this.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of work for these guys to do, and are they cut out to actually follow through it and do it in a successful manner? I don't think anyone has faith that they are. So we have to wait and see, don't we? It's another... Nobody should trust it. Nobody should rely upon the fact that they will do it. But they've got the chance to do it because because they own the club and they're not selling the club, and they've made it very clear that they don't want to sell the club. So nobody is going to believe it, and nobody is going to have trust of them until we see it in front of our eyes. That's what it is.
That's it.
All right. Well, that is Charrington. All right. Let's move on, and can we take the Everton thing? Let's get the scoreboard off, and all right, let's get into the Tottenham update. And we're going to start off giving a congratulations to Archie Gray, who scooped up 3 of the Player of the Season awards. They didn't want to come out on the pitch yesterday and do the awards. I think they thought it was a bit of an embarrassment, but they picked up Player of the Season, 1 Hotspur Player of the Season, Junior 1 Hotspur Player of the Season, and Mickey van der Ven has won Goal of the Season as well for his goal against Copenhagen.
Yeah, I mean, when was it done?
The voting was done
was it 2 weeks ago?
About 2-3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't obviously played much since then. I mean, Has he been our best player of the season? I mean, he was definitely in with a shout 3 weeks ago, and definitely before De Zerbi came in, he was the one most in form. I think that's probably that recency bias at the time of voting probably swayed in his favour. I don't think he's been our best player of the whole season.
We said Richarlison, didn't we?
Yeah, Rishi. I
think Palhinha.
Palhinha's obviously got a good shout. He's got some important goals, and but he's also been in and out of the team, hasn't he? But yeah, he's also had. I mean, he's not had a good season, but he's had an okay season.
Who?
Palhinha.
Yeah, but the moments.
Big moments. So he probably deserves it just for those moments keeping us up. Obviously, this poll being done before De Zerbi, essentially, or very, very close to De Zerbi, is skews it a bit because that's been our best bit of the season. But
yeah,
look, fair play to Gray. He definitely deserves some recognition because there was definitely a point where everyone had given up.
Give it my young player of the season if we did it anymore, but we don't do that.
Yeah. So he definitely deserves credit, and he has definitely moved on a fair bit in this season to where he was, and he's definitely made some strides and improvement. So he definitely deserves recognition. But it just goes to show, and he's winning our Player of the Year, and he's not even had that great a season.
You're looking at our last two Player of the Year. It's been Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall.
Yeah,
which is mad.
I just think everyone's pissed off at the senior players, aren't they? Rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's that, and obviously the goal of the season was Mickey van der Ven. That was your pick. I can't remember who. My pick was Solanke's.
Solanke's scorpion kick.
We've scored some unbelievable goals this year.
We have.
But that's surely going to be up for a Puskas.
Yeah, they could both be, but I think Van der Ven surely will be. Running from his own penalty box and scoring the goal he did, it was incredible. So I think he's in with a shout. Sonny won it with a similar goal, so maybe Van der Ven could steal his crown.
Let's hope so. Let's talk about Andy Robertson. Andrew Robertson of Liverpool. Ben Jacobs says that Andrew Robertson is set to join Tottenham on a free now that the Premier League status is secure. Agreement in principle is already in place. Look, I do have mixed feelings about the Andy Robertson deal. I do think it does have some values, and I think he brings that leadership and that experience, and he's been there, he's done it, he's won everything in the game, and I think the squad can learn a lot from what Andy Robertson will bring to the team. I just feel like if you're going to go into the season with just Andy Robertson and Destiny gets injured and you're kind of relying on Robertson week in, week out, and he's like kind of declining as a footballer, it's not exactly where you want to be.
Yeah. I understand the allure of getting a personality like him in a dressing room like ours, which needs good characters, 100%. But is that not possible to get from players who are not past it? Like, do we have to have players who are at that stage of their career to get the right character?
I thought you were up for Robertson.
I'm mixed on it. I think the fact that we're not in Europe is probably all right, actually. But hopefully we are going to be in Europe next season, after next season, sorry. And so I don't know what we're getting him a 2-year deal. I guess on the short term, it's not the end of the world. Maybe Sousa will be ready by the time he's finished at Tottenham, unless we give him another extension, and obviously he'd have to prove his worth for us to do that. Again, I'd rather we didn't do it, but I mean, and the thing that really frustrates me is the fact that we wanted him before De Zerbi, so you've just put into question whether this is actually a De Zerbi call or whether Tottenham are making the call for him.
I think De Zerbi would love his mentality, though.
Yeah, he has a good mentality. What promises has he been made? Has he been made promises about game time? Because that's apparently one of the reasons he wanted to leave Liverpool. So
I think he's been given a very good contract. I think that's probably what it is.
That's also another thing. You know, we're giving him the big wage, and I don't mind giving bigger wages, but giving it to Robertson.
I think we've probably the only club that are willing to go this high on Robertson. I think that's what it is.
I'm not excited about it. Put it this way, I don't think it doesn't excite me getting someone like Robertson.
Could he come in and actually like surprise a few people, and maybe he's a bit better than what we think?
Possible. Anything's possible.
I don't think he's actually been that bad for Liverpool, but my problem is because he's actually kept Kirkes out the team a couple of times this season. My problem is that you're not going to see an upward trajectory from him. It's only down from here from Robertson, and you know by the end of next season, 33 years of age, you'd only want it for really one season, don't you?
Mm-hmm. So why not just go for someone else? Like, if De Zerbi's saying, we want a new Tottenham and all this kind of stuff, and you're getting Robertson, it just doesn't really scream that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would say. I'd just rather go in a different direction. But if it's only for a couple of years, it's not the end of the world. But the thing is, Robertson, what gave him such an edge was definitely his, like, physically, he would run all day and night on that left-hand side, and he would, be hounding and harassing. And as he's lost energy, he's obviously become less effective at that. So that's only going to go in one direction.
I feel like he's better players this season, though.
At times he was. At times, I don't know over the whole season, but at times he was pretty good.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts on signing Andy Robertson in the comment section below. Let's talk about Marcus Senesi. A couple of updates on him. Matti Moretto says that Tottenham have agreed a deal in principle to sign Marcus Senesi. There is already a verbal agreement between the parties, and the London club are now working on a 4-year contract for the Argentine defender. CL Merlo says that Senesi has reached a verbal agreement with Tottenham on a free transfer, discussions for a contract until 2030. SZY ITK on X says that the media can stop flirting with Marcus Senesi's name around other clubs. He's joining Tottenham, and that's been the case for months. He's very excited to join.
Which is great news, and I think I'm excited to see him at Tottenham as well. I'm excited because he's a good centre-back. I think De Zerbi's going to like him. He's a good player who got good passing ability, so I think he's going to be suited to what De Zerbi likes. I think I hope he's come in to be battling with Van de Ven, and then we have.
I think he will.
And then we have two on the other side. Hopefully, it's not a replacement for Van de Ven. That's what I'm praying. But it looks like Van de Ven's staying. So I think it's a good signing. I think it's a rare, smart piece of business from Tottenham, in my opinion. This one, a free transfer, left hand. Hopefully, I mean, we've needed a backup to Van de Ven for ages. To be fair, though, Van de Ven has pretty much played every game this season. Shockingly, hasn't he? Has he even had an injury? Can't think of one. Which is, come when everything's said and done, every year we're so worried about his injuries, his hamstrings. He's actually held up pretty well this year, so fair enough.
Well, let's see what it's a full season under De Zerbi as opposed to Thomas Frank.
Yeah, it's also true. But this is what we've been calling for, a left centre-back to help cover Van de Ven. And
he'll be the Ben Davis replacement, won't he?
And he's a good player. He's been brilliant for Bournemouth. I just hope he doesn't get disgruntled if he's not in the team for that much. But hopefully he'll get enough game time. Yeah,
I think if you're looking at it on the face of it, him and Van de Ven to cover the left centre-back, with Romero leaving and Vuskovic and Danso to cover the right centre-back, I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. If Vuskovic can step up, that is.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good. If not, I wonder if we can play Van de Ven and Senesi together. Well, I mean, I guess in theory, it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never seen him play right centre-back before. So I don't know. Maybe Van de Ven as well can play at left-back at times. João Palhinha, Simon Joe says, De Zerbi has asked the club to keep João Palhinha. However, he is also wanted by Sporting out in Lisbon in Portugal.
I heard these rumours.
So it'll be interesting to see which way Palhinha goes. I've made it no secret my thoughts on Palhinha. I'd love to see him stay at the club. I think he adds something different. I think his mentality is top. De Zerbi obviously absolutely loves him, and he's been so important for us this season. So I would say keep him.
Yeah, he's been important for us, but you also got to think about how bad we've been, and he's not been separate from that. Not to say he's been necessarily awful himself, but
yeah, but you can say that about a lot of players.
I know, but he's a big part of the reason. Not big part of the reason, that's wrong. But he's a big part of the reason why we stayed up. But he's also a big part of the reason why in certain games we just have looked awful on the ball. But he has looked a lot better under De Zerbi, you have to say that. And De Zerbi likes him. Obviously, he used to play for Sporting. So I think he would probably want to stay at Tottenham, I would think, right now. I don't think he wants to go back to his old club.
Seems to love it here.
Yeah, he seems to really like he seems pop in the dressing room. I definitely appreciate what he brings off the ball and his mentality and probably leadership ability and all that kind of stuff. So from that point of view, he definitely does have something that we're missing, 100%. We have Bentancur, we have Gallagher. I'd rather just sign someone else, if I'm being honest. If it means not getting another number 6, If signing Palhinha means not getting another number 6, I would rather sign someone else. If we are going to sign Palhinha and get another number 6, then and maybe move Bentancur to a different position, then I'm open to it. But I think I just got a feeling it'll be a mistake. But I do like him. He's got his uses. He's not like some useless player who De Zerbi can't do anything with. I get that. So and he's not a bad deal. 25 million for that price. Maybe we could even negotiate lower. You know, you can't go too wrong with that. So from that point of view, I understand why De Zerbi likes him, wants to keep him. I just think if we're going to go in a new direction, I think he should also be going in a new direction.
Really?
That's kind of my feeling. I'm not like saying he's a terrible player. He is what he is, and that's a player who's very limited on the ball, and who's very, very good off the ball. But those limitations on the ball could be costly when you're playing the way we want to play.
But also you're talking about to bring him on in games, to have him starting in certain games.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You know, you're talking about as one of the best tacklers in world football.
But I'm saying if we're going to sign him and not sign another number 6 who's more suited on the ball, then I wouldn't want to sign him.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that's the direction we're going to go in. I can't see how we don't go in that direction.
Depends how many are going. You look at Basuma going to go. You look at Saab might go. Maybe some others will go as well. I don't know what the plan is, but if the reality is, I like him as a player, and even if De Zerbi didn't say this, I'd probably say keep him around. But with De Zerbi saying everything he's saying about him, just seals the deal for me. It's just like, if De Zerbi really wants him to stay around, then we need to keep him around. That's just it. You know, De Zerbi needs to get what he wants.
I think he will.
Let's talk about Savinho. Back in for Savinho. Simon Jones says Tottenham have rekindled their interest in a £60 million move for Savinho following the preservation of their Premier League status. What's your thoughts on now, Savinho, a year on with the season that he's had?
Yeah, he has had a good season, obviously. That's clear.
A lot of injuries.
Pep's obviously preferred Doku and Doku off the left and Semenyo off the right. They're just players, especially Semenyo's got more of an output and Doku's just better dribbler. So from that point of view, it's been tough for Savinho to get into that team. I still really like him. I still think I would try and sign him. The only thing
60 million.
No, I wouldn't sign for 60 million. I'll try and get that price down. I think we would be able to get the price down.
Like last summer, they were talking about like 70 million and stuff like that, like crazy money.
Yeah, it's a lot. I still think he's super talented, and I still think he's got a lot to go a lot of gears to go in his career. He's still 22. I think he's still phenomenal dribbler. He still obviously needs to work on the end product, but he does get a lot of shots off, and he does get a lot of chances and stuff like that. So if you can just refine him, he's going to be a very good player. But
so if you're bringing him in, is he there to compete with Tell on the left-hand side? Is that what we're bringing him in for?
He can play both sides, I think.
Yeah, but if we have, let's say, Kudus and Kulusevski or something on the right-hand side, or let's say you got Tell, Savinho, Kulusevski, Kudus, like, is that good enough on the wings? Is that going to give us enough output? I'm not sure it is.
That's the worry for me, is his output. Obviously, he's not quite there yet.
I think he's got a lot of talent, Savinho, but it does worry me saying if Savinho is going to be our big signing on the wings, because I feel like we need players that are going to get those consistent goal contributions. That's what has been hurting us so much this season.
Of course, but who's available? Who is? Here's the thing. Where we are right now, obviously, I'd love to get like what Man United did with Mbeumo and Cunha, and I'd love to do that. Are we able to do that though? Can we get someone who's proven to have output right now on the wing? Because those players obviously go for massive money and they go to big clubs. So Semenyo's obviously gone. I don't see anyone in the Premier League who's got consistent output on the wing coming to us. Who would that be? I don't know.
I can't think.
I can't think. So maybe you go out on the wing, or out on the other divisions. You have to maybe do some scouting. Or you have to take a punt on someone, and he's someone I would take a punt on. Is what I'm saying. Minter, I mean, he's got decent output. I'd look at him, but he's more on the right side.
And Jai?
Yeah, and Jai. But he's also tailed off quite badly this season, in Jai. But yeah, he's good. I like him. Sade's got good output, but that's all he has. So I don't know. Bowen.
I don't know. There's just something about Savinio.
I like him. I think I would still.
I think he's got a lot of talent for sure.
I wouldn't want him to be our only winger signing, put it that way, but I would want him.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, right, if we sign him for 60 million, he probably will be our only winger signing, though. 60 million is a big outlay for someone like Savinio.
I wouldn't sign him for 60.
That's what they're talking about, though. That's the price that they're talking about.
I'm trying to negotiate him down. If they don't want him...
So how much would you go for him, then?
45.
Let's see if they do that. I don't know if they would, to be honest. But
if they don't want him, maybe they'd be willing to do a deal.
Let's talk about Vicario. Simon Jones saying Vicario is still expected to leave, although Inter Milan, with whom he had agreed personal terms, have been exploring other options.
Yeah, I've heard rumours that they're not so convinced anymore, which is not a great thing to hear. Let's hope they get convinced somehow. If it's not Inter, I don't know where else you're going to go. I'm not sure, but hopefully there'll be other clubs in Italy in for him. I don't think we want him as a number one next season. He hasn't. I think it's quite telling, even though he came back, he was still left out, in my opinion, because I think if Zerbi really wanted him for next season, he would have been back in the team. Even with
it's hard, isn't it? It was hard to leave Kinski out, regardless of the situation.
I understand that, but I think if he really believed Vicario was going to be part of our plans, he would have come back in. That's my feeling. I don't think he will be. I hope he goes to Inter or somewhere. I think we'll just move on from him. But look, he's a good keeper. I don't think he's like some terrible keeper.
He's okay.
He's a good keeper, but I just think we need something different.
I think he's a lot better for teams that don't play out the back. That's the reality, and we want to play out the back, obviously. So he's not the keeper for us, in my opinion. Got too many flaws, not strong enough. Yeah, I really want to sell him this summer. Really want to sell him. In terms of other keepers that we can sign, Simon Jones is saying that Spurs have sounded out Carl Darlow, with James Trafford is another firmly on the club's radar. I actually really like the idea of bringing in Carl Darlow to play backup to Kinski. I think Carl Darlow has been fantastic this season. It'll be like one of those Fraser Forster signings, but to a better level kind of thing. I don't think he's anywhere near as done as what Fraser Forster was when he came here. So to have a player like that can bring experience, that's been a good keeper, had a really good season this year for Leeds, I'll be bang up for that.
But Leeds don't really play out the back, so I don't know how comfortable he is with that. But anyway, bring him in a second choice. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah.
Back up. But it's weird, Darlow and Trafford. I mean, can't be Darlow or Trafford, surely, is it?
Well, they've said it's... I just think Simon Jones is just rehashing old info here, but we've been linked to Carl Darlow in the past, and James Trafford's been on our radar for a bit as well, so I don't know how new this is.
Okay.
All right, well, that is that update. Oh, no, there's one more, actually. It's just the Coutinho Romero. Simon Jones saying that club captain Coutinho Romero still expected to leave. And Matt Law said that Spurs captain Christian Romero was not scheduled to fly back to England for Tottenham's final game of the season. Following a barrage of criticism, the Argentine managed to get himself back to the country. That's exactly how I thought it played out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like from everything we know, to be honest. So it's not a massive surprise that that's been the case. From what De Zerbi was saying, it seemed as though his plan was to stay in Argentina. Now, some people are saying he was there for treatment. Some people say he was there for his
What happened to the Argentinian medical team coming out to England?
Yeah,
they were there.
Not enough. I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, I'm glad he came back, and I'm glad he was there to support the team, which is good. I think right now he is going to leave, and I think we'll get. So I think we are going to have to sell, because we're not in Europe. We'll have to sell one player for decent money, and I think he's going to be that guy, and we're going to move on from him. I think, as I said, I think as a player, De Zerbi would love him, but I think right now there's just been a bit too much baggage on both sides. and I think Tottenham are willing to sell. I think he's willing to go. It probably suits everyone right now.
Yeah, I think it's time to go, Kuti. Thank you for the Europa League, but yeah, I think it's time to move on, in my opinion. We've got.
Well, if he ends up staying, I'll be happy, but I don't think he will.
Can't see it, to be honest. We've got some quotes from Maddison and Van de Ven. Maddison gave a really good interview after the game yesterday, so we're just going to look back on that. And he revealed that Roberto De Zerbi had been living at the training ground with his backroom staff, and he said, without that appointment, disaster maybe would have struck, but it didn't. And he takes a lot of credit for that because of the work he's done behind the scenes and on the training pitch. I thought we were brilliant today in a big pressurised game. I thought the first half was brilliant. We played really well. The intensity was there, and that's what you want to see from a Tottenham team. And he spoke about the injuries in a sec, which we'll get onto. But De Zerbi living in the training ground. He lives and breathes Tottenham.
Yeah, which is what I want to hear about De Zerbi, because I know that he is such a obsessive kind of football person. And that's what got him ahead of the game, like in when he was at Brighton and Sassuolo and all these different teams, of how kind of obsessive he was. And he was so into like doing different tactical things. And he's, as I said before, De Zerbi was one of the revolutionary managers when it came to tactics. Like back when he first came to the Premier League, he was that kind of on the forefront of it. So a lot of what we see now in football is down because of everyone seems to press bait now, and that De Zerbi pretty much brought that into the Premier League. Like, he was one of the first managers. So I would love him to come up with something else now. I'd love to hear that from Maddison, that he's spending day and night trying to find different edges and different things, because if we're hopefully with his mind, we can kind of take the next step in the Premier League in a different direction. I feel like for the last few, we had like the tiki-taka, and then we had like gegenpress, and then we had now this thing from De Zerbi with this press baiting, and maybe there's something else around the corner. Maybe De Zerbi could be the forefront of that. The football meta, as they call it.
Let's hope so, man.
And that's what I like to hear. Good hands, then. That's what I like to hear, De Zerbi in the, because I don't want him just to do what he always does, because people are figuring it out already.
Yeah. Football moves on very quickly.
Very quickly, so we need him to come up with something new.
On injuries, Maddison said, our situation with the injuries has been worse than any other club. We need to look at why that is. The big names we've missed, it does affect you, and you can't just deny that. If we'd had myself and Kulusevski and Kudus, we wouldn't have been in this situation. And I do agree with that. I think if Maddison, Kulusevski and Kudus were fit for the whole season, I don't think we're in this situation either, to be honest.
Yeah, he went into a bit more detail. He was like, he was saying how bad like the injury crisis has been, and he was saying how, you know, you can get unlucky with some. You know, I did my ACL, and Kulusevski, he's injured his knee with a challenge on Guehi, and you know, some of those you can't really explain. But we've had so many injuries, we've had so many unavailable players, that there has to be something looked at. There has to be something that can be done about how many injuries we are getting, because it's really costing us, you know, so many points, and we were suffering way too much with it. So he clearly, by judging what I was saying, he's like, something needs to be done about this. You know, we need to change it. It's not just all luck. It's not just like we're the unluckiest team in the world. Some things we're just not doing correctly. And I think that's obviously what we've been trying to allude to. We don't obviously know for sure, because we're not medical experts. We're not in the not in the physio room. But
maybe Dr. Andre can tell us.
Maybe Dr. Andre can tell us. We have to ask him. But at the moment, there is something that has to happen with this injury situation. It can't carry on like this, because that for me is the number one thing why we're back-to-back 17th. It's because of these injuries. Yeah, I'm not saying we would have two amazing seasons. I'm just saying we wouldn't have been 17th twice in a row if we didn't have the level of injuries that we've had. And it's been just a non-stop. It's been relentless as well. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I have never got on top of it.
Never. Mickey van de Ven has been speaking on Roberto De Zerbi as well, and I feel like with Mickey, any time he speaks about De Zerbi, his face just lights up. And this is what you want to see with Mickey van de Ven, because it was similar with Ange, and obviously the fires went out after that. But he says, I'm really happy. The gaffer has been unbelievable. I'm not going to lie. Since he stepped in, I spoke a lot with him because he also saw I was not in the best mood at the training ground. He spoke a lot to me and said, "You're going to be a really important player for me. I need to rely on you. I trust you. I've seen you play. Even when I was at Brighton and Marseille, you're a top player and I'm going to need you." I think he did it with multiple players and he gave us so much confidence. I think that's really important, especially when we're in the difficult situation that we're in. But luckily, we've come through it. I'm really proud of the boys. I'm thankful to the staff who came in, and I'm really happy. So that's a happy Mickey van der Ven right there.
Yeah, which, as he said before, his mood wasn't great when he came in. He's admitted that, and he seems like a new person. He seems like a brand new person. Absolutely delighted that he has gotten the best out of one of our best players, because we've all seen that Van der Ven, when he's at his best, we know how good he can be, and he's been fantastic ever since he's come in, and consistent usually as well, which is fantastic. So when he went through that down period and people are, he doesn't want to be here, just get him gone, just tell him. I'm like, you really want to just chuck away this player because of the current situation at our club? Like, just get someone to get his mind right. Get someone to get his mind right and he'll be fine. And I'm delighted that he's now turned it around. And look at him, he's absolutely flying. Yeah,
I did always liken the Van der Ven situation to the Vertonghen situation. I said it so many times this season. And I still see the similarities. Like, as soon as Poch came in, Vertonghen, went to one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. And I think Van der Ven can do the same. Let's talk about this. We're going to look back in time to Igor Tudor. You ready? Matt Law says, after being continually shouted and sworn at by Igor Tudor, the Tottenham players quickly realised that there was no point pushing themselves for a head coach who was scheduled to leave at the end of the season regardless. The treatment of Anthony Kinski during the 5-2 loss against Atletico Madrid was the final straw for many of the Spurs players. I mean, Igor Tudor just came in and just lit the place on fire.
He was really the arsonist that you hired to put out a house fire. Like, it was insane that whole month or whatever it was he was in charge. But yeah, look, they brought him in to do that, I think, because that's probably what he did at Juve. They've probably got different characters. They can maybe hold that a bit more than the Tottenham players. But we were obviously in the relegation battle, different situation to Juve, and Igor was just continually saying this situation's unbelievable. They can't defend, they can't attack, they can't do this, they can't do. He was going crazy, wasn't he? Driving himself mad. But we should have known that he was going to do that, because he was always known as that kind of hardline taskmaster kind of guy. So it doesn't surprise me that's how he went for it. But then also, this is what I was saying at the time when people were like, should we go for interim or go for a permanent manager? I'm like, just always the best thing is to always be for a permanent, because interims, they're not going to get the respect from the players.
But there was no decent permanent at the time. De Zerbi wasn't there at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he was there, but he was only there after a day.
He literally lost his Marseille job, a day before we hired Tudor or something.
Throw the book at him.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can. I don't know if they did that. Did they offer him the same deal they offered him now?
Probably
I don't know.
Not. Probably not.
Probably not. If they did and they said no, then I could say fine. I don't know if they did, but I think when you go into the dressing room with that kind of mentality, you have to bloody make sure you get the players on side, because they stopped running for him, didn't they, very quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. Tottenham due diligence had been so lacking that they even failed to account for the fact that Igor Tudor's right-hand trusted man, Ivan Javoric, did not qualify for a work permit in time to join the Croatian. How mad is that? Like, you're talking about the hierarchy making the right decisions, and they don't even know that they have to qualify. They have to get a work permit that won't come in time. It's just madness.
And it was a real ridiculous thing. Igor Tudor every week was saying, yeah, it's coming, it's happening, and then never happened, and he was gone before even by the time they got a final decision. The whole thing was bonkers. But that just goes to show about the club and how they make their decisions. We've been talking about that before. They did this whole 30-point process for Frank and all that kind of stuff, all that bollocks. And their decision making is horrendous. They don't know what they're doing. This is what I'm saying. When I don't they can do all they can say they're doing a process. They can say they want to put footballing things first, but I don't trust them to do it. I just don't.
Absolutely. Let's talk a bit about Johan Langer. Sporting director Johan Langer was even unaware of his own employment status. I think Matt Law's saying this. He says, I need to get this correct on English employment law, but I'm on a rolling contract, said Lange, before the club clarified that he is on a standard employment contract with no set end date rather than a rolling deal. I don't even know what any of that even is supposed to mean. But Johan Lang didn't even know his own contract terms, apparently.
So he thinks he's on a rolling contract when actually he's just on a
contract with no set end date. Yeah,
so an indefinite contract. They don't even know what contract. So they don't know what contract they're on. They're doing contracts for players, and they're doing contracts for managers, and they're doing all this bollocks. They don't even know their own contract. The whole thing's a clown show, man.
It really is. It really is. And Charrington expects us to believe everything he says about things going the right way. They can't even get their house in order before that. But Tom Allnut does say that Vinay Venkatesham's position at Tottenham is believed to be secure this summer, but Johan Lang is less certain. So that's something positive, I guess. 1 out of 2.
Yeah, hopefully that's first done. But we'll see. Look, no one's really going big yet, are they? Lange leaving, so until I hear some concrete news,
he's got to go, man. He's got to go. If they're going to bring in this Sebastian Kell, just bring him in, but let Lang go. Like he's useless.
Look, I just don't want him to be sporting director. Just take that power away from him. Look, we can sack him. I don't care, or just demote him. I think it's probably best to get rid because we keep seem to bloody putting him in that position anyway. I'd rather just not. But if he just demote him, just take him away, give him no power in the sporting director role. I just don't want him to be the case. Then I'm fine with it. But he should not be making any sort of decisions for the first team.
Tom Allnutt's also saying that Tottenham will make further executive appointments this summer and will consider bringing former players back for the right roles after Toby Alderweireld said he'd love to return. Ben Davies is very well thought of and expected to step up after playing. Do you think Ben Davies is going to retire this summer? Though? I don't know, some sort of executive role, apparently.
But like, is that
or maybe just a coach.
Like ambassador or
coach? Yeah, ambassador's not an executive role. That's just being a kind of...
I don't see them giving Davies an executive role.
No, I think they give him a coaching role.
Yeah, I don't see him just jumping straight to be an executive. That would be a bit much. I mean, I don't really care if he does, but I just don't see them doing that.
You know who's one that can come in as a coach next season? I think it's going to happen is Sandro. Because there was all this talk about it, but I don't think De Zerbi wanted to make too many changes. But I think Sandro will be on the coaching team next season.
Yeah, look, I'm happy for former players to be getting involved. People who understand the club, people fully coys. The more of those people, the better. People really care about the club. Like, I want those people there. That's why I'm very in favour of getting Alex Scott, even though do we necessarily need another number 8? But he's just a guy who understands the club. He's a fan. He gets what Tottenham means. So the more people that can come through and really care about the club, as long as they have the quality, I'm all for it.
Agreed. All right, so I think that is it from us today. Any more? We've got one more super chat here from L'Apprentice saying, incentivize manager with lucrative youth development bonus. Example, homegrown/total squad ratio, homegrown minutes played /total minutes played. Problem solved. Would you incentivize manager to get the youth team involved?
So I wasn't concentrating.
Got to always concentrate.
Incentivize manager with lucrative youth development bonus. Yeah, sure.
You down? You down?
Yeah, I'm down. I think there should be a rule in the Premier League where at least one player in your squad has to be.
Didn't we hear of this rule? What was this rule that I saw doing the rounds on The Athletic? A couple of.
There was talks of it, yeah, about I think 2 players maybe having been homegrown or something in each squad. Obviously,
no, they said on the pitch.
On the pitch. Oh, yeah, on the pitch. That's a bit much, maybe. I don't think you should be forced to play them, but they should be, I think, on the bench or at least in the match day squad. You should have, at least for me, at least one spot for a youth player or a homegrown player in your squad. Should be, because it just naturally has to. You have to. So it forces you to make them better because they have to be good enough to play. because you have to give them an opportunity. So I would like to see a rule like that, or bonuses for managers getting them to the first team. Why not?
Yeah. All right, there you have it, people. 2.5 hours live stream done and dusted. Spurs are a Premier League team for next season. I think there's a lot more to talk about regarding how we move forward from this, and we'll get into that in the coming days. And also, we are going to finish off the podcast track with Nicky Hawkins and Wolfie. And you know what?
Don't think they've seen The Last of Us just yet.
Nicky actually called me last night, and he was very respectful, saying congratulations. And
he was respectful. He's gone, of course. His leg went down.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you didn't expect him to call. He called me after the game yesterday, just saying congratulations.
As long as you were respectful.
I was very respectful. I think Wolfie is the one that's going to be a bit bitter tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Or Wednesday, whenever we do it. But yeah, all right, guys, we'll see you all in a bit. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.